Boom. 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 Boom.
Hello and welcome back to the Pop Tab Podcast, the podcast that's as sweet as soda for breakfast. I am one of your hosts, Brent Kruscke, the upholder of the unpopular opinion, and joining me today, as always, is the ghost host, Jacob Stokes.
Boo.
That was really good. The Pop Tab Podcast is filmed from a live Twitch audience. If you want to be part of that audience, head on over to twitch.tv/realpixel. You can do just that. Or if you just want the audio version, head on over to patreon.com/realpixel. You can get it there, and then you can add it to your Apple Podcasts and your other podcast services and stuff like that. So it's really easy.
Dude, the Spotify's.
The Spotify's. I don't know if it's on Spotify, actually. Because Spotify, it's either one or the other. And I chose Apple Podcasts because that's what I use.
Wait, really? Like for like a certain tier of payment or something like that? Because I listen to a lot of podcasts that are on both. When I'm on
Totally on
Windows,
both.
there's no Apple Podcast Windows version.
It's available on both. However, they have separate hosting that then goes to both. Our hosting is Patreon.
I see.
And
I
Patreon
see.
kind of makes me choose.
Interesting.
Yeah. So it's also really awkward because it's like, if you go onto Apple Podcasts, I don't know if you find it, but it's if you get on the Patreon, get the link, put it in your Apple Podcasts, and it's there. But that link doesn't work on Apple Podcasts if I link it to Spotify. It's really confusing. And someone might point out that I'm completely wrong,
bullshit,
but
who knows?
it's really weird. But I've never listened to a podcast on Spotify. It's always podcasts. So
Well, I wake up at 6:30 just to play video games early.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I throw a workout in there. But with the Windows gaming PC, there is no app. You can get Apple Music both in browser and you can download it and whatever. It feels like a Spotify, but there's no podcasts.
Oh.
So I'm like, okay, well, if I'm going to have a game in my headset and have something else on, and Spotify, I mean, sometimes I'll listen to the radio stations, which means you have to get ads or whatever, because whatever. But otherwise, if you go to their podcast, you can just click an episode, and the only ads are the ones that are often baked into the podcast.
No.
Which Apple even has. The first 30 seconds is like
Yeah.
sometimes just a generic one thrown in there instead of the...
I had a podcast I was listening to recently that had an ad specifically for Traverse City, and I was like, "This can't be attached to this podcast. It's got to be just sent to me, right?"
Yeah, so that's the ones where Apple ties it in, Spotify ties it in, and they feel the same for that reason. But you can just click it. Where like in a playlist on Spotify, you can't always at least just click a song, you know. Or like in a radio station, you can't just choose a song.
Right. I think my big thing for me is when I subscribe on Patreon to podcasts I like and I want the ad-free version of that podcast, I have to do it in Apple Music or Apple Podcasts.
Because you link it.
Because I link it.
Yeah. That makes sense. But
That's why I do a lot of them. But
even I don't have any of those, but when I did, I still just listened to the because it's like, oh, there's 30 seconds forward, 4 times done.
Yeah.
You know, it's pretty quick and easy.
Yeah. And if you haven't noticed, for anyone that wants to watch or see this podcast or be part of it, all that stuff, we're doing it at earlier times now. We had a great success at doing it. I think it was like noon 30, 1 o'clock. It's right there.
Oh, okay.
And we decided to start doing it early. So we're doing noon to 2 on Tuesday, seeing how that goes. Maybe shift as things progress because
it's going to work better for us.
It's going to work a lot better for us doing it earlier. So if we have to shift, though, like, you know, a noon to 2, 1 to 3 isn't crazy, or even 11 to 1, depending on where things lie. So shifting around, but just doing it earlier in the day instead of waiting around all day until 6 o'clock is going to help a lot. So
maybe we should just do soda for breakfast.
Do a morning show.
Oh, my God.
Full circle.
Welcome.
So we're going to start
like
the
that.
show as we always do with a little bit of looking at what's coming up in streaming. So this weekend, Alex back. He's been gone for a while. He's coming back. We're finishing up
Prodigal
Alone in the
son.
Dark. So if you were like, hey, they started that game, they never went back to it. They seem to like it. We really did. Alex been busy. He had weddings, kids, yada, yada, yada.
And
So
yes, that is a single-player game.
it is a single-player
He
game.
just likes to watch.
But he was part of it. I want to take him to the
Sicko.
end. So we're going to go finish Alone in the Dark. And then after that, me and Alec are doing a lot of Halo achievement challenges, essentially. Probably 90% of
goal.
it is Lasso. So we'll be doing a lot of Lasso because I have a goal. If I can get my last 12 achievements in Master Chief Collection before November 11th, I will have completed Master Chief Collection in exactly 10 years. I'd get the last achievement on the 11th. The last achievement I have is just literally to play a couple levels. The last achievement I'm saving is to play through the entire Master Chief story, which is CE through 4. You just play through all the games as one playlist. I would just play through a majority of it, leave the last few levels, and then finish it off on the 11th to have the date say the 11th.
Just do it on the 11th. What day is the 11th? Huh?
It's a Monday, so we have to film. So it's like, I can't just have all day.
Ooh.
Yeah, so that's why I'd probably do like half, but I might just record me finishing it and, put up the stills of the two. My first achievement, my last achievement, 10 years apart. I think it's just a fun thing, but we'll see if we can do it.
Are you gonna like frame it? Where do you put that?
I don't know. I might just post it somewhere. Maybe put it on the Patreon.
Yeah,
just have
cool.
some like digital save of it. But I'm not gonna lie. There's a couple lassos I'm a little worried about getting through. Halo
Like
2,
just period.
Yeah, because Halo 2 is just hard. It's just a hard game. And then ODST, because I've never done any lasso anything in ODST. 3, I've gotten pretty far in. Reach, I think I'm over halfway in. CE, I've been like 1 or 2 levels. So like I know what all those games feel like in lasso. I just know 2 is going to be hard. ODST,
2
never
where
touched.
I gave up because Master Chief Collection came out. My roommate and I were prepping for 5. We're like, let's just do them all in lasso, and we did the first game. And then the second game, we're like, let's just play them. Like this is becoming too much. I mean, the fact that we had to do the first level of CE like 35 times.
Yeah.
Because we weren't YouTubing anything. We were just like, let's just run it how we can. So no cheats, glitches, hacks, whatever. Yeah, it was a bit of a nightmare.
Halo 2 is rough.
And unlike other roommates I've had in the past, this one was like, he's good at shooters. So it wasn't like there was someone was getting like dragging each other down. Like we were both pretty equal, and it felt comfy to do it with him. The game was tough.
Gotcha.
And I'm not that kind of gamer, so I don't know why I was even trying to do it. But
So that'll be their big thing for the week coming up, and probably weeks coming up, because it's going to take us a
November
long
11th.
time.
It's a little less than a month.
Got a little time. So that's going to be streams. Next week when Alex's not available, I'll maybe do a little bit of Halo, but I'm also going to get into a little bit of Pokemon TCG and stuff like that. So pulling that up on stream.
Another goal,
Hokie has chosen us over Alien. That's awesome.
like just the movie. Like you were watching Alien right now at noon.
No. He was following all the spaceships that are going to go try to find alien life on the moon of Jupiter right now. Oh, what you said.
Well, Alien's on his movie list.
Gotcha.
So
okay, that makes more sense.
I was aware of
makes
that.
sense.
But watching Alien at noon's kind of interesting.
Yeah,
For what I believe is your first watch.
to all of it.
To all of it. Oh, he's like, yeah, I'll watch all the Aliens. He's got his finger on the pulse.
I'm excited for you to watch Alien, Hokie. I love Alien.
I didn't. And then I watched it again with more adult reformed eyes, and I was like, wow, I was just fucking wrong. I was like way off. That movie it might be a perfect movie. Like, I don't know if it's a perfect horror movie anymore, because it doesn't incite like almost any fear in me. But it might be a perfect movie.
It's really good.
It's really fucking good.
And then after that, we talk about what we've been playing and watching and all that stuff, and that's where
We want to do playing first?
playing. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I mean, like, do we just want to do playing
Yeah,
first?
we do playing first.
I figure because it's, and we're gonna have a lot to talk about.
I've got a
with
lot
what
of
we've
movies,
watched.
yep.
You watched enough movies for the both of us, really. I fell a bit behind, and then I also watched some live things, so it wasn't as much of a movie week for me, but I've got plenty of catch up to do. I watched 2 last night, so
Okay.
I'll be doing all right.
What have you been playing?
A lot of the same olds, a lot of the battle passes, a lot of the things I'm trying to complete. Diablo 4.
Yep.
I got I say max level character. You hit level 60 instead of level 100 now, and then you start getting those like foo infinite points that if you make a new character, they start with those infinite points. So it's like I'm getting gravy now. I got all the meat and potato gravy time. And the new map's really great. New class feels good. I got a build feeling real strong, prepped for the end game, and it was just kind of slowing down, and it felt like hold the button, fall asleep while I kill everything, And I was like, let me get something a little bit more active, and I switched to the build that's not as good, but the one that's poison, a little bit more my flavor, if you know me. And for Pokemon, I like poisoning people, so it was let me try this. And then I've always been a net decker when it comes to Diablo builds, because they're just, it could be my life if I wanted to have that be that. So I just follow the people whose life it is, and I go, you've made 30 builds, let me pick one I like. Let me try it out. I've started kind of going off script a little bit of like, no, I'm going to trust my gut. I'm just going to go this way instead, and it's been working out well. I finally hit the actual, like, if there's a word for endgame, it's torment, and I've hit torment, so I've been doing that. I think one of the last things I have to do is kill the Echo of Lilith, which is like the extra hard version of the main boss of the game, Lilith. And then I have to get a character to level 50 in hardcore, and then I have a platinum.
That's cool.
So might be working towards that platinum, but otherwise I've got 60 levels of Battle Pass left, I think.
That's exciting.
New Overwatch Battle Pass will be coming out here soon. I think
Yep.
it's like a week away.
Season 13.
Oh, I don't know.
I think it's season 13, and I've been listening to like a lot of the changes they're doing, and a big one is they're doing changes to the scoreboard, and you can report and ban right in the scoreboard. You can change each individual player's mic volume in the scoreboard now. Like they're
mic
adding,
volume.
they're
That's
adding a
kinda cool.
lot of stuff to the scoreboard, so you don't have to go into all the settings and all the back. It should be
That's
right
really
there
nice.
and quick and fast.
I'm just excited because this is when they typically do their Halloween. This is when everyone does their Halloween
yeah.
skins, right? Theirs come a little late. I know a lot come in like in November, which is weird.
It's very weird.
I'm like, well, I don't know what we were waiting for, but here we
Yeah.
are. Like, I don't think Destiny has their event going on right now. Not that it actually matters for me, but, you know.
Poor
RIP.
Destiny.
I just want to keep talking about it all the time. I've been playing Dredge.
Yep.
Still loving Dredge.
Good.
Very simple, very easy. Well, it's actually a tough game, but it's a very simple game to play. It's a very simple premise. But today is New World Day.
New World Day.
New World Eternum came out today.
Get excited.
I couldn't play all morning because it didn't launch until, I don't even remember. It was like,
9?
I think it was 9 our time.
That's what I was thinking.
9 or 10 our time. I forget. I wasn't on because I was like, oh shit, I can't download it. Shay's about to be doing, you know, her virtual stuff. So with her virtual stuff, I was like, oh, I can't take the internet
wanna
away
bog
from her.
me, yeah.
But I hopped on my computer anyway to start doing some magic stuff. Turns out it auto updated.
Oh, that's
So I was like,
exciting.
oh, cool, let's load it up. I made a new character, hop on a new server. Dude, the story now is like, it's got proper cinematics.
Yep.
What do you got going here?
I'm just I turned us up on the thing over there because I didn't move that.
okay.
So I'm just making adjustments
Cranking
in
that
OBS
vibe.
for us.
Cranking that vibe. I get you. Anyway, they have full cinematics now. The story is so much more streamlined. It's got a little bit more of the like when you walk into a clearing for the first time and it pulls back and looks at all the world and says new world, you know. It feels like a whole different game for that reason. And in the beginning quests they make that you have to swim through some stuff. There's swimming now, so you don't just walk on the bottom of a lake like fucking Jason. But it's things that there's visual upgrades, you know. It just feels like a whole new game in that way. And native controller support. I played like the 30 minutes with a controller. It was fantastic.
That's great.
It was great. It was intuitive menus. It just felt right. So I'm going to be giving that game another go. I think I might actually just transfer my character to one of the worlds that allows for new players to join. And yeah,
That's cool.
I'm going to be playing some New World. So I invite you, but it is a soloable game, and the story is more streamlined, like I said. So apparently, it's a much faster experience. I'm not going to go through it again because I already did
Right,
it.
yeah.
But yeah, the opening cinematics and stuff made me feel like, oh, I want to keep doing this. But I'm like, I've already killed this guy. Like I already know the
I wonder
I know how it goes.
if I'm in the middle right now, does it change for me? Is it streamlined for me? Like,
Almost
what would it
certainly. No, I
adjust?
mean, because there's probably a lot of like auxiliary and side missions. I don't know if those are going to be affected, but the ones that are like literally defined as main quest, those would be
the
different.
ones that we're playing and you're like, oh, you have to go do this solo, and I went, I can't.
Oh, I don't know about those.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't know where those still exist or not. Those are main quests,
Right.
but there's like 15 in between each one of those kind of
Gotcha,
checkpoint
okay.
ones, right? So I don't know. And I know that the story's been revamped through Brimstone Sands, which is the deserty Egyptian kind of themed one. And then after that's the Elysian Wilds, which is the like super pretty. You buy them, when you buy the expansion, you get the mounts, you get the stuff like that. That one doesn't have the new story effects yet.
So if I go on to play New World right now, I have to buy 2 expansions to play?
No, so you've already bought the Wilds because you have a mount.
Oh, okay.
If you have a mount, you bought it, and I know you do because
Yep.
we play together. The new everything which again, this almost feels like a brand new game with the same kind of UI, I guess, but it feels so much smoother. That's free.
It makes sense because they just named this expansion just the name of the world, right?
Yep.
So it's just like,
Yeah, the name of the map was always Aeternum, so
Yeah.
now it's just that's the name. Are there things you can buy? Of course. There's new store cosmetic stuff. There's always been a battle pass, so there's going to be the battle pass hasn't started yet. They're going to give it like a week or two, but then it's a Halloween kind of battle pass. Yeah, but like first thing that happens when you log on, and this is cool because we're not new players anymore, but for a new player, when someone logs on, one, it puts them in their own server. That's like a fresh start only. Even with me making a new character, I couldn't join a fresh start because I know how to play. Because they saw my hours and they're like, no, you're not. You're not a new player. So if Hokie were to hop on, whether it's PS5, Xbox, or PC now, it's all crossplay. So he could end up joining our server, but he would be put into a server that's just for levels 1 through whatever. And then after that, they like graduate you. You have to go to one of these other servers. And only half of them allow players from those new worlds.
Okay.
Nice, no pun intended.
Yeah.
But where was I going with this? Oh, when you log in, when you make that new character, it's really cool cinematic on a boat. It's like really gorgeous actually. And then it switches to a different cinematic that's in engine. You can like tell the engine and it pulls up to you. You make the new character. But the first step of making a new character is they ask you, what class do you want? Which, if you remember the game, it doesn't have classes.
Yeah.
It doesn't have classes. And even now, you pick the class, and if you go, I hate this, you just switch. But it's not the class essentially just defines your starting weapons, and they give you starting gear, and they give you whatever. And it just puts two weapons together and defines them as something.
Okay.
And then if you're like, it's like one of them's like the Destroyer, and it's the giant hammer. I don't remember the second weapon, but they give you heavy armor, and they're just like, you're going to be a tank. But you can select it and just start leveling your skills like right away with it. And they had the one I always ran anyway, Life Staff Void Gauntlet. They just had it as like an option. I was like, oh, this is great, cool. I'll click that, and then they give me the weapons right away so I can start leveling without having to like find the right weapon, or everyone's going to learn on sword and shield, and then you'll get a bow, and then you'll get a whatever. It's like, no, just pick what you want. And that felt really good. So it's like taking the choice paralysis away by just being like, here's 4 or 5 options that are going to like get you cooking, you know? And then get you cooking, they actually give you base stats for those like mastery skills to be like, you can just start doing these things early because these are ones that can help and affect the class you chose. It's better for heavy armor to be a good leather worker or whatever.
Yeah.
But it just felt super smooth. And it's like, I can picture sitting on the couch with a controller and playing this. Like, it ran flawlessly.
Okay.
It didn't feel like, oh, you put a controller into a game. It's like, it looks top down, made for controller.
Cool.
They added like targeting lock, which is really nice for a game that's very, like aim fluent. Everything that I cast, that I was trying to cast something special that was hard, where it's like, I need to target me and that person with this one ability. So simple. And I was like, you guys did it. Like, this is, I feel like I'm playing the game over again, but I have like 160 hours in. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh, I feel like I've never played this before. So
I don't know if I can reconvince Bethany to give it a shot, because she had a very hard time with it when it didn't have controller support. But
yeah, but she goes in, like, if someone has a character, like a level 30 character, which is like half max, delete it.
Just delete it?
Just fucking delete it and start over again, because the beginning felt so good. The leveling is faster. Like, so I'm level 65, it's max. Level 60 is where they start unlocking all the end game stuff. So those last 5 levels are harder. But I watched a couple videos today to be like, man, there's a lot of updates to this. There's swimming. Like, I didn't know there was going to be swimming, and that's such a stupid thing, but I'm excited for it. I'm like, oh, they might put shit in the water now I can actually go get. So I just watched some videos, and a few people said that like level 60 can be achieved in a day of grinding.
Wow.
And I'm like, oh, leveling's easier, because it took me 100 hours to get to 65.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, that's different. And that was not a focused 100, to be fair. And probably 30 of those hours were like getting my first character to 20 before I started over. But all the same, it's something that the leveling is just faster. So if you have a level 30 character, you're halfway through the story, fucking scrap it and start it over, because it's going to be a smooth sailing, from there.
Gotcha. Well, my plays that I've been playing was I finished Echoes of Wisdom. Good game. I think there's like 2 end bosses, which is essentially like there's the boss that you think is the end, and they go, oh no, here's the other end boss. First end boss, amazing, great fight, super cool. The second boss,
The final.
The final, not good. I didn't like it because,
Like mechanically,
well, so when you do
thematically.
when you do the first fight, it's you're fighting like a
Ganon.
copy of you. It's
Oh,
like a
okay.
Zelda that's like copied you, an echo of you. It's a whole game's echoes. So you're fighting a Zelda, and you have to like do a bunch of different echoes to fight them, bring her down. Then you turn into your little Link version of you, so you can whack them with the sword and all that stuff. The next fight, Link and you are fighting together, so you don't have a sword anymore. But at a certain point, it was just me like.
Well, you don't like AI buddies.
I don't
think
like
that's
AI buddies.
period.
But also, it was my fight became I spawn a dude that fights for me, and then I just ran around and dodged attacks. And then once my guy died, I'd spawn another one, and that was my whole end fight was other things fighting for me
Because your sword was gone.
because my sword was gone. And I was like, well, I have a spin, and I even had like a piece of equipment that let me spin and knock enemies back, but that didn't do anything to the boss.
It doesn't hurt,
It doesn't
yeah.
hurt. So it was still just spawn Dark Nut, let him swing around, Link swings, and I just hung out. He was your buddy? Who's your buddy? What? What did I say he was? Who did I say was buddy?
I don't know.
He was your buddy? Question mark.
Hey man, I'm just here.
I mean, Dark Nut was my buddy. I'd always bring out Dark Nut, but
Dark Nut.
Dark Nut.
Yeah, okay.
Dark
Keep
Nut,
going.
dude. Level 3.
You know, that reminds me of the famous quote from one Roger Ebert. You will drink from the black sperm of my vengeance. That was in a script written by Roger Ebert.
Wow.
That was Beyond the Valley of the Dolls.
Okay.
How can you forget that one?
Yeah. But the, okay, no, I'm going back to the game.
Let's just go next. Let's go next.
The boss I fought before those final two bosses was this Yeti boss. I think my favorite boss in the game was so cool.
Yeti
He
boss?
had like a Viking helmet that had icicle things come out of it.
Like
but the
horns?
icicles were like blue and red, so you had to know if you'd use ice or fire attacks, and he would do fire ice attacks. Like so it would like alternate. So I'm like alternating elements while I'm also trying to beat him. It was a great boss fight.
That's great.
It was awesome. And the whole game was great. The last boss fight just felt disappointing compared to the rest of the game leading up to that point. So, Echoes of Wisdom's great. And then I also played and beat Uncharted Lost Legacy, which was awesome. Very
believe
short. I understand people like longer games. Uncharted 4 wasn't that long, but I almost liked Lost Legacy in the sense where I could sit down and play it in a
Did you
chunk.
see Uncharted 4 and you're like, because you talked about potentially doing the platinum.
Yeah.
But I remember I told you Uncharted 4, the platinum was like, you have to beat the game in less than like 2 hours.
Yeah.
Can you visualize that? Because when I saw that achievement, I was like, this is impossible.
It seems crazy.
How could that happen?
Yeah.
It took you what, like 3 streams?
Maybe even more. 4?
So do it in 4. You do it in half of 1.
It's crazy. The only thing I could think of, because for me, I'd have to have all the puzzles loaded and like know that, and just so I could do them faster. And also I'd have to just get used to the jumping, because I would so many times jump or something and fall.
It's 2 hours and 30 minutes.
2:30.
So less than 2:30.
Still, that's tight.
Remember the saving grace of it, and the one that I did know the puzzles by then, because I also played it on the hardest difficulty before I tried the speed run. So I'd already played through the game at least twice. But remember, you get to in-game unlock cheats.
Yeah.
So being able to run around auto aim with the best gun in the game, unlimited ammo, blank. It's a different game.
Yeah.
But it's still like, it is go. The second that you can run away from enemies and start just move, you just do it. The second you can like just dodge through everything or skip all the cutscenes and just get in the vehicle and drive straight to the objective. But it's like you have to know where all those are.
Yeah.
It was not easy.
So, yeah, and it is, yeah. So that seemed. I don't think I'll platinum it at least anytime in the near future. But I just liked Lost Legacy that it was so short. The characters were good. I thought, Nathan Drake's not in it. Can it be an Uncharted game? It still felt like Uncharted. It was cool to see those characters. They were going after like a different type of culture that I felt like Nathan Drake could have gone after, but it was better that the characters that went after it and stuff. The bad guy was awesome. I just really, really liked it. Very happy with it.
That's great.
Other than that, been playing more Pokemon, TCG, getting
TCG
net
Live,
decking.
getting ready for Pocket.
Yep, net decking a lot, like you said, with Diablo, but with cards because
Net decking.
Yeah, I'm a great pilot, but I can't build a deck from nothing.
Yeah.
Or even with my base knowledge right now, I could probably pick a chunk of cards. They'd be like, these are all things that probably should be in here. The numbers might be a little off on how many professors' researches versus Ionos versus this and that.
Yeah.
But when it comes to like the Techmon, like I'll put one of these in here or one of those in there, it's like I just forget they exist until I
it
have
just
them in
takes
hand.
a deeper knowledge of cards that anyone wants to really admit,
Right.
And the same can be true in the opposite way, that you can be a worse pilot. Like my etiquette and function of the game, I almost feel like I'm like performing when I'm playing. Like there's something like, this isn't how I would really play. Like if you and I play, we go so casual, but it's like the function of the game is still there. You can still see how I'm playing, but the etiquette of tournament play in any game is just not for me. But maybe there's a better deck builder in me. You know what I mean? Like you can be a good builder and a bad player versus the opposite. So,
Well, when I was watching the most recent regional, there was a couple people that would win a match and get the interview or whatever, and they would be thanking like, "Oh, I want to thank my friend blank who built me this deck." And it's like even like pro players, not all of them build their own decks. It's like they have a team or they have a crew.
Any pro game, video game at least, I can think of all the esports, there is a coach behind them telling them what to do, or telling them the meta game in some capacity.
Yeah.
So you've been watching League, so I think like that's when you say ward this, jungle here, move to dragon, go for herald, whatever it is. It's just like do it, and okay, we're going.
I got great news for you. I understood all that too this time. I feel like in the wonder years behind us, when you would bring up League, turns
The
out
wonder years.
I'm like, sure, Ward.
They were more wonderful years.
Yeah, dragons. Yeah, I'm sure characters are dragon. I would not have any idea what you're talking about. Now that I'm watching
Now you know those are objectives.
I know where they're at.
You might
yeah.
even know more than me because newer seasons have added different mechanics of sorts.
Some of the stuff. It's like if you were to tell me something, like was it one of the dragons, like the mountain drake?
Sure.
Like I don't know what that buff is until it gets taken down. Then I see the buff coming. I go, okay, that makes sense. Yep. But I don't know it like offhand.
Wind is speed, fire is damage. The mountain drake is like the like resilience armor. It's armor.
It all makes sense,
right?
But
It's just
like
their
I just don't
element
have
to
it.
their
Yeah.
function is kind of how it ties. But even then, they've added dragons. I don't know. There's like a poison one. I don't know what that does. I don't know what. And then when someone said, "Oh, jungle's getting," and they named the whatever, I want to say NPC, that's the wrong thing. The creep. They named the creep. I was like, they're getting the what? And they're like, oh, they got rid of this and they added in this. And I was like, okay, what's it do different? And they're like, well, functionally nothing, but there's 2 or 3 levels of it now. So it like scales. I was like, okay.
Wow.
But I'm in the middle of a ranked game as someone's telling me this. I'm like, oh, okay,
Dude,
sure.
and
then I walk into lane and I'm like, where'd the bushes go? Like, what is this? There's like this bush here. There's one center bush in the river instead of 2 along. I'm like, I don't know where to ward anymore. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. We won.
Hey,
we carried.
I think
Derek out of like bronze 5 or whatever. The fuck
for me, I think it's still funny because it's a game and I can see the graphics in front of me and there's movement and whatever, but I'm like, there's a numbers game behind everything I'm seeing. Way more in this game than a lot of other games.
You know, the film production joke is fix it in post.
Yeah.
The League of Legends joke is we scale.
Oh, okay.
But even the function of that is like, what do you mean scale? Like, because we are a team that carries stronger into the late game, where their team is one that's meant to do more damage early or meant to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The idea of scaling is like, my character has hidden base stats that I get stronger as the game goes on, or I scale differently to levels. My level, if I put a point into this, it's going to do more for me than them putting a point into their skill. It's insane, let alone all the different items you can buy. And it was like, I see that they've bought these 2 items. So if I bought this item, I can negate their item, or I can build something to just circumvent their entire function. You know, it's like, that's you got the 3 coaches whispering in the back of the mics.
The one I saw recently was they started up a game, but someone picked a character and they had, it's not an item, but what are the things that you can start with? There's like something there's a bunch of things you can choose to start with. Is it items still?
Start with as in like from the shop?
Not from the shop, like before you even get in game.
Oh, runes.
Rune, thank you.
Yeah.
And he had
that's why I was like, I don't know where
he had the
there's
wrong,
like 3 starts to the game.
He had the wrong rune attached to the character, and he's like, I want to switch off that. And they had to like pause it and they go, well, did he get it in time? Like, did he try to clicking it, but then time happened? Or was it he clicked it in time, but it actually didn't register the switch on our end? Like, they had to figure out if it was you just messed up or we messed up.
Where you have the runes from the last character you played on. You're playing a new character, and you're like, oh shit, and you got to go in real quick.
Yeah.
And if he's like selecting them but it doesn't hit save, or you hit save, it takes like 5 seconds to even.
Right.
So if you're in the actual countdown, you can't change as much as you want to change or try.
Yeah.
You have to like click one of their auto presets, but if you go into the rune page to get manual, which I'm sure these pros are doing,
Oh, yeah.
it just wouldn't register. So.
Yeah, and I think they aired on you didn't get it in time. You should have changed early idea, so you had to play with the wrong runes and stuff. I think they.
No, that's
It's crazy.
I think that's the right call.
But it's like one of those things that
runes are the things that like are game changing.
But that's just like, again, the numbers game where it's like, are you playing the graphics in front of me or are you playing the numbers?
No, that's World of Warcraft.
That's the same thing. Yeah.
World of Warcraft is like you're playing Microsoft Excel.
Yeah. It just happens to have graphics in front of it.
Exactly. You have to move a little bit left, a little bit right, but otherwise you're just looking at your health bars on the left and your tab targeting, and you're just pressing the buttons you've memorized.
Crazy.
You could be blindfolded, and when someone says jump, you just jump. You know.
Different kind of gaming.
Yeah.
I don't have that mind.
New World isn't like that.
I'm not saying no.
Well, I'm just saying I've been playing New World. New World isn't that numbers game, you know.
Yeah.
Back end, am I going to kill this thing or not? Sure, there's a number there.
Yeah.
Diablo, that's a numbers game.
Yeah.
That's a game I'm like, tell me the numbers, and then I can just play.
Ready to get into what we've been watching?
Let's do it.
All right. This is gonna get crazy. What do you have?
Well, I've only got one big movie.
Okay.
One that like is worth any chatting. I rewatched Terrifier 2 to prep for 3.
Yep.
Terrifier 2. I loved it the first time. I loved it the second time. I think I liked it more because after watching Terrifier 1, I don't know what that movie is anymore. Like after watching 2, I had more appreciation for 1, but it's just different. I feel so bad because after watching 3, you know, I had a conversation with Bastion. He went with me, and we talked about how it was like, I feel like we are actually watching like what it must have felt like to have the Friday the 13th come out as you're living. Like you know, I was born with 10 movies in my hand.
Right.
But well, not really, but close enough.
Yeah.
But it was with Terrifier, I'm seeing them all come out. Is this what it was like? Because it feels like the same kind of feeling. And I was like, it kind of sucks that this character might end up hitting a certain echelon of horror, like 15, 20 years from now, especially. But that anyone who goes to join it, I was saying it's kind of gatekept. In that one, it's known for being over the top gory, like it's kind of gross, where Hellraiser might be that a little bit, but otherwise they're not too crazy. Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, Halloween. There's gore, but this is different. You know, it's like NC-17 in other countries.
Well, I mean, I didn't see 2 or 3 because the first one was so bad.
But that's the other piece of the gatekeeping.
Yeah.
Is anyone who's like, oh, let's watch Terrifier, they're gonna watch the first one and say, everyone's been lying to me, because that movie is bad.
Yes.
I mean, it's so okay that it's bad though, because the guy made it for like $6,000, his first movie.
Yeah.
And he made a feature-length thing, and he had like one thing that everybody remembers.
Right.
You know, there's like one notable, and I'm like, that's amazing. And he directed, wrote, edited special effects, not VFX. He did everything. Go him.
Go him.
And as soon as he got the budget for a second one, sure, the acting's still not as good. Sure, but it was $250,000, and the movie fucks. Like, it's good. I mean,
I watched the first 10 minutes and I was like, man, I don't know if I can do another one.
No, yeah, it's 100%. It's super fair that it's still a low budget movie, and you have to watch it with those eyes where like Friday the 13th doesn't ever really feel low budget.
No, it just feels of its time.
It is.
It is. But the time allows that movie to feel lower budget.
I don't know what it is about low budget movies then versus now that it's like, I don't think it's the filmmakers of today doing everything wrong. There's something different.
Well, it's just that back then they still had to use film. Like they still had
Terrifier
film.
2 and 3 is on film, which shocked me. Shocked me.
That's crazy.
That is crazy.
Why would you do that?
Great question.
I mean, yes, long term, it'll save these
'cause he
movies
liked it, I'm
visually.
sure.
Yeah,
'Cause he's just like, I like film.
So much more money to do film.
Yeah.
Guess what? Film costs more than SD cards. They just do.
Yeah.
It's impossible.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, that's crazy.
The film's expensive, but all the same, it sucks that they're feeling gatekept. I liked watching 2 again. It made me. I felt better about it. But this is without watching 3. Like I said, it's before 3.
Yep.
And I just laughed more. I was like, this movie really is funny. Like Art the Clown is a funny character. I like how much he just enjoys killing people. Like it's just for pleasure, and that's it. So then going into the third one, it just felt like that. It just felt like a ton more fun. I didn't see the bigger budget as much. It looked better. Like there was, instead of him running the camera, there was a DP,
Right.
you know? And he did the editing, but he didn't do all the special effects. Like there are level ups that happen. You got some fun cameos in there that were really cool. The kills were, you know, there's one super shocking one, and there's one of these, and it felt really varied. It was strange though watching it now because it is a Christmas movie.
Gotcha.
He's dressed as Santa Claus. He's doing Christmas things. But
Is there a reason why? It's just they just wanted to do a Christmas.
well,
Is this just his Silent Night, Deadly Night?
I would say, well, you know, it's funny. I hadn't thought about like why Christmas. I'm like, I guess why Christmas? Like I don't.
Because wasn't the first
Really
one on
no.
Halloween?
First two.
First two are both on Halloween.
Yeah.
Oh, because
the second
same-
one's like a year in. I think it's actually like 3 years later.
Oh. I don't think I made it that far in. I plan on watching 2 and 3, mostly just because people are like, oh,
yeah, no,
people
but
are getting crazy.
It didn't happen yet because in the second one of the characters wants to dress as Art the Clown. And they're like, that's like dressing like Dahmer or whatever. You just don't do that. It's disrespectful. It's whatever. Because the Miles County massacre happened already.
Gotcha.
Both on Halloween, but I think it's only been a year. Might have been 2.
Okay.
In the third one, it's funny because it's supposed to be 5 years later. And I'm like, I think they might have done that just to like excuse this character because the actress is, you know, you actually can't find her age online from what I've seen, her like actual age.
Okay.
She's done almost nothing else, right? So if she's never said it, it's never
Yeah.
been done. Her date is there, but not the year.
Okay.
But she's got to be mid-30s at least.
So
And when she was in school in the second movie, I was like, man, their college looks crazy. No, she's in high school. And I was
In
like,
the first movie?
Second movie.
Second movie.
Nobody from the first movie makes it. So
All right.
the second movie, this character, and like you're in high school, I guess. Like this is a weird thing to believe. Also, there's like a side boob showering nude scene, and I'm like, you're in high school? Is it? You know. And then this one's 5 years later, and I'm like, sure, you're 23. Like at the absolute max, you're 20. Sure. Okay.
Sure.
That's your younger brother. Okay. She goes to stay with her aunt, and I'm like, your aunt is the same age as you. You stop it. Like there's things that they just didn't get past, but
You know what's really
it was still, I was laughing. I'm like, God, I love this, man.
visually doesn't play, but in Gilmore Girls, you know, Rory's best friend Lane.
No, actually.
Okay.
There's other characters I could have said yes to.
Okay. Well,
but Lane,
the
I
one
don't
that's got
remember.
the crazy mom that's all Christian, so she can't do anything.
Okay, yeah.
Lane is actually closer in age to Lorelai than Rory, like the actress in real life, which is like once I
Interesting.
know that and you're watching this episode and you think about it, you go, oh, that's so weird. Visually, it doesn't look like it.
visually
Doesn't plays.
plays.
They do great costuming. Her energy and stuff makes it seem like she's way younger.
Well,
Perfect.
this one visually does not play.
Okay.
Where I'm like, so there's a young girl character in this that I don't know, maybe 11, 10, 11.
Mm-hmm.
She's her cousin, and I'm like, get out of like you can have a young cousin. I mean, families have strangely young cousins all the time.
I was gonna say yeah.
But I was like, I don't see you as cousins. You're parenting her in this movie. You're her aunt. And
That's
then
fair.
there's like I'm like trying to build a pedigree in my head, and I'm like, man, I can't visually see it if I picture the character. I just have to go by their like biography. You know what I mean?
If I was better at keeping tabs on family, I'd be able to go, yeah, well, I'm 33 and my youngest cousin is blank, but I don't know how old my youngest cousin is, but they're little.
Well, there's I think my youngest cousin's 10, Lil Gwen.
Oh, okay.
I
was gonna say-
it was like that's my cousin, you know. And
Yeah.
it was like she's in a high chair watching Moana while we're roaming San Francisco, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Terrifier 3. It
What
got
up, Tron?
It got my heart.
Hoagie says she looks young. Were you talking about
I
Lane?
was to say there's so many she's.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably Lane.
She does look young in the show. But
I'm gonna.
it's like,
This is for you to
Okay.
to give your judgment.
all right. Hit me.
High school.
Yeah, she's in high school in Riverdale.
She's.
That's a Riverdale high school. Yeah, Gilmore Girls. Yeah,
There you
she
go.
is. It's crazy.
There's
Again,
another.
they're not the same age, but closer to age than Rory and her. I forget the numbers, but it's like a 7-year difference versus a 4-year difference or something like that.
I mean, there's a couple shots of her in the movie.
This is
But I'm
when
like-
she's in high school.
So like, here's one. This is her at like buying the stuff. That's a high schooler. Oh, well, if I can.
Again, In Riverdale, yes,
Like, sure.
100%.
I mean,
on the CW,
I'll take
yes.
I'll take what you feed me because I don't give a shit.
Yeah, who
you know?
cares?
Anyway, so that was Terrifier 3 for me. That was a big one.
Cool.
I watched a couple live things. I watched the Fangoria Chainsaw Awards.
Oh, okay.
It's completely, except for one category, which they make up like a funny one. Like last year, they did a Best Amityville spinoff. So it was like the Amityville Glory Hole, the Amityville Christmas, the Amityville Alien Invasion. You know, like it's all those Amityville in space. That's what it was. And they have like, what's the best? And they come up with the winners for that. This year, it was Best Felissa Rose movie, who's just a actress, horror icon of sorts.
Okay.
She's from Sleepaway Camp.
Gotcha.
And Terrifier 2. But all the same,
Spoilers, dude.
besides that, everything spoilers. besides that, it's entirely voted on by community stuff.
Oh,
so it's
cool.
really cool for that. My favorite one to watch is they do the best kill. And as someone who fills out the Fangoria Awards every year, the best kill is a write-in. They don't even multiple choice you. It's like literally community come up with this. And the one I voted for did win, so I felt good for that.
Oh, that's good.
But it just makes me think like, man, you guys really are you're processing all of these because you have to read this.
Yeah.
You know, so
People that care.
some really interesting wins. I wasn't upset, but Poor Things was on a lot of options, and I was like, is this? I don't want to say is this a horror movie, but it's like Oscars everywhere kind
Right.
of movie. I'm like, should
Does it
we have
need to get-
excluded it so that we didn't give the Fangoria Award to this Yorgos Lanthimos fucking Best Picture winner?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm like, I don't know, man. That's kind of sick. Because it's beating out The First Omen. And I'm like, man, give The First Omen a laurel, you know?
It's like in the nicest way possible. It's like, this is our mud pit. We're little piggies. We want to roll around in here.
Yeah.
Don't bring down
the show hog.
Exactly.
You know
Let
what I
us
mean?
roll around in the mud, dude.
That's right. Let us just oink a little bit. Play with our tails.
Exactly.
Anyway.
Anyway,
I only got one more.
oh, hit me with it then.
I
Dude, got a
started
lot.
watching Daddy's Head.
Daddy's Head.
It came out on Shudder this weekend.
Oh, I did look at that and I thought about it, but I didn't. Click
It was another one I started, and I was like, this is better than I thought. I should watch this with Shay. So I ended up stopping that one. But we watched The Stuff last night, which is
Classic.
was my Reagan era choice.
Gotcha.
It is a classic. I didn't like it.
That's fair.
I was like, you know what? Maybe, I joked about getting high and watching it. We're watching it, and I said, did I get high? Because I'm like, this is insane. This is like, there's so many just plot jumps that I'm like, did I miss something? Am I blacking out? And then I was also getting some crazy commercials because I watched it, funny enough, on Plex, but the streaming service Plex, not my Plex.
I found some good stuff on Plex. So just like, what is this? I click play and I go, oh my God, I didn't know this was something I wanted.
You
but-
really should try Tubi.
Okay.
Because that's exact. Tubi's like, what the hell is play, and you're like, I'll do it. And they include the same number of ads. So
Gotcha.
but yeah, the stuff, it just didn't play. Visually, I'm like, I don't know how they pulled this off. This is some really interesting visual effects work and special effects work that, like, I can see how they filmed it. You would have had to rotate this room, like a Chris Nolan Inception, like spin this room somehow, and they must have done it because it's just shaving cream or whatever. But I'm like, oh, that man is flipping around the walls. Like, that's insane.
Like Nightmare, where she gets up the walls and she's getting carried and she gets the claws.
On Elm Street.
On Elm Street,
Yeah,
yes,
I was
sorry.
like, Nightmare.
Sorry.
I think
The first one.
I think she did cable work, right?
Well, I know
Or did they sit in the room?
she did do some sort of because they had to drop
they
her
had
on
to-
the bed afterwards.
Yeah.
But I thought the room moved because the other guy's like against the wall, so they could just rotate her around.
And he
But I
just
know
hangs on the
But
wall,
I know
yeah.
at some point she had to fall, and I
Yeah.
know they rotated the room, or at least flipped the room upside down for the Johnny Depp
Oh,
pouring
yeah.
the blood down
For sure.
But I don't know if there was an actual rotating room.
Yeah.
for
Well,
the
this
shoot.
one was one that was like in motion.
It's
so
gotta be,
It was
yeah.
some cool effects, but the movie was just bad. It's one that I might have given a heart had I watched it instead of with Shay, love her to death. But if I'd watched it with Colin, where we can just laugh and bullshit and be like, we could make movies, the
Yeah,
whole
yeah.
time, I might have had a fonder experience. But the movie itself did not get my heart.
Okay.
All right, that's it. I'm tapped out. That was 5 movies for me.
All right, here we go. I think I have 9 movies in total. So the first one I watched.
Are you gonna go chronological, or are you gonna?
I'm gonna jump around a little bit, but I'm mostly gonna go in order.
Good, because I know that we got some stuff to say that I
Yep.
want to chat about.
So the first one, wasn't gonna watch a movie. I think I got a TikTok ad for like, hey, this movie's out right now. Go watch it. And I'm like, oh, that looks interesting. Click play. It's called Mr. Crockett.
Oh, dude, I saw you log this, and I was like, oh, that's out. I was like, oh my god, I can't wait.
Yeah.
I watched the trailer when it came out. It's the part of their Halloween or whatever.
Yeah.
I very much want to watch it. And then I saw you gave it a heart.
It a
I'm
heart?
spoiling it. I saw you gave it a heart, but I was like, damn it, he liked it.
It's like one of those things where it's like, is it changing the shape of horror? No, but it's done like so well, and like I would say the bigger actors in the movie do well. There are some not so good actors in this movie, but the bigger actors
And I'm okay
nail
with
it.
that, dude.
So-
I'm okay with that. The movie looks so much fun.
Very fun.
Mr. Crockett,
Very cool.
it's like a I can't think of his name.
Mr. Rogers.
It's like a Mr. Rogers neighborhood, except this one's like a hidden VHS, and he's like,
Yeah, haunted VHS tape, which is so funny because the lore is when the parents don't deserve their kids, this tape shows up, and then he steals the kids. But how it shows up is one of those take a book, leave a book library boxes just show up in the front lawn.
yeah.
I'm
Well,
like,
I
why
thought
is
that
it a
was so
VHS
funny 'cause
tape?
I remember it's in the trailer. They don't explain it, but I was like, is that a little library?
Yeah.
And she pulls out the tape, and I was like, what? Like,
And the other-
I just thought that it was her actual little
Nope,
library.
it just like out of nowhere, it comes from the sky and lands in the yard. And then they're like, oh, where'd this come from? Everything else in that library are books, except for this one VHS tape. Maybe that's why it gets pulled out and the rest gets left. But it's just funny that it's the VHS tape in there. But definitely worth a watch. Like I said, Hulu,
that's exciting.
good to watch.
That's exciting.
Next one I watched, Sting. Do you remember seeing this trailer? Where
yeah.
like, oh,
Yeah,
another
yeah.
spider movie?
Yeah, or whatever with the whistling spider.
So this spider movie, the best way I can explain it is it's like, hey, let's make a horror spider movie, but as if it was a live action cartoon. Because remember in Clerks 2, when you were like, I'm laughing at all the jokes that are like cartoon jokes? This movie is like,
or Jim Carrey jokes. Or whatever.
Exactly.
I'm a physical humor guy.
this movie, I feel like is shot like a live action cartoon where it's like something gets scared and someone turns around and like Donald Duck face screams. And the spider is like an alien spider. So it's like, we're all having fun here.
Yeah, and
it's going to be a good
whistling
time.
alien spider.
But
yeah.
there is like some good horror moments, some good jumps, some good scares, and some like terrifying things.
It's spiders.
But it's so much fun. I was so surprised by how goofy the movie was.
Well, good, because I know we'd wanted to see it.
Yeah.
And we wanted to go to the theater to see it. We probably for busyness of our lives didn't end up seeing
Yeah.
it. But we also saw the reviews were like all mid.
Yeah, and I think it's because people were probably because the trailer made it seem more like
Because they thought they were getting it infested.
yes,
Not
a cartoon kind of like horror movie. And I keep saying cartoon. It's not like it's funny throughout. It's very
it's cartoon
serious.
in that it's like
But
stage
certain
almost
shots
like
and certain
pantomime.
feelings, and it's like, oh, green goo coming from it, and someone like rubs their finger on it, and they're like, and they're like rubbing it on themselves. Just the way that people interact with what's
Yeah.
happening is very cartoon. And
They're
then
a little over the top.
It's all takes place in an apartment building. Each apartment's got like their characters, you know, that are like, oh, this is a weird
They're
dude.
caricatures. There's the old woman. There's the loner. There's the teens.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's really good. And then the next one I watched, Jeepers Creepers Reborn. This one did not get my heart.
Yeah, no, I'm so sorry, man. I actually didn't see you log that one. But
This one, did you watch it?
fuck no. I didn't watch the third one.
So
This is the house.
this is the house.
Yikers.
Now, I say this is the house. The house doesn't show up to like the last 30 minutes of the movie. The trailers makes it seem like it's the whole movie, and it really should
Wow.
be because so the plot of this movie, don't watch Jeepers Creepers Reborn. It's not good. The whole plot of the movie is essentially there's a boyfriend and a girlfriend. He loves horror. She's there just to, whatever. But she's secretly pregnant. He secretly wants to propose. Classic horror movie crap. But
Sure.
now
I'm
there's
okay with that.
a cult of people that decide to sacrifice people to the creeper. And they're like, we have to sacrifice this.
Is the creeper in on it? Is he cool with it?
Yes.
I was like, because he's clearly not killing these cultists.
Right.
And accepting
but
sacrifices.
at the same time, it's not like they have a meeting where the creeper's like, thank you for giving me the sacrifice. It's like they go, they lock him in the house, and they're like, cool, creeper can deal with this. And the creeper just like earlier in the movie crawled out from the dead or wherever he's been slumbering and just crawled out and decided to go to the house. But it's like no one agreed on these terms. Like I don't know what the cultists get out of this. But the whole beginning of the movie is they go to Horror Hound convention. And they're there at Horror Hound doing the signings, pictures, all the different stuff. But it's like, wow, it's so busy this year. There's like 14 people.
They're doing it as goers.
as goers.
Okay, I was like, these aren't like famous,
No.
fake famous or whatever.
They're like going as goers, and the horror hound is like outside like a fairground, but it's like they're like, oh my god, it's so busy. I can't believe so many people here. They're like 15 people at this thing. I'm like, this is not a convention, guys. This is a backwoods thing that
Very
is
good.
so crazy.
Very good.
But then they win a trip to go to the house, and at some point in the movie, they just go, you know what if we didn't have like, what if we didn't shoot outdoors? What if everything was on a soundstage and we just used effects? So we don't need a graveyard. We can add a graveyard in. And it's just like all exteriors all of a sudden become this weird cartoony graphics, which
This is cartoony in a bad way.
which if it wasn't Jeepers Creepers Reborn and it just didn't throw me into this and like the whole movie was shot this way, it actually looks really cool. Like the coloring
There's
and
like a
the style.
style.
There's a style
Yeah.
to it. It's cool. It does not fit this movie. It does not work. It's a mess. And then the rest of the movie happens and it's I'm like, sure, whatever, dude. It's a mess.
We gave that one enough time. Then I guess we can skip through that.
Yep.
Nobody watch it.
Nobody watch it. And then I watched the new movie Caddo Lake, which was produced by M. Night Shyamalan. That's got I told you about the trailer where it's like the backwoods of Florida in the Everglades, where it's like the guy
How do you spell this?
Caddo space lake.
Okay, keep going.
I believe it's a HBO Max movie. I think that's where I watched it. I went to a bunch of different services, so if I get that wrong. But it's a good one.
Oh, okay.
It's-
Yep. I remember. I did. We saw this trailer.
For me, it was the same kind of. It's that feeling where it's like not a horror movie per sense, but it's like a thriller in like detective in a way. No one's a detective, but they're all trying to figure out the disappearance of this girl and
Sure.
what's happening.
It's cool that Lauren Ambrose is in it again.
Little cool effects, and it was fun. It was a really good one. The whole time I'm like trying to piece it together, and it's like I don't think it's so shocking at the end where it's like, oh, I could have never seen that coming. They don't invisible ski you. They don't do something crazy.
Sure.
It's just like when I got to the end, I was like, oh man, I'm so satisfied with those reveals and those moments and how they piece it together wasn't so obvious that it
Yeah.
was just a good enjoyment.
Well, it's cool. It's getting pretty decent ratings, but it's cool. I'm liking that there's two directors and both of them directed for Servant, which
Oh,
is
okay.
another M. Night Shyamalan project. But also Lauren Ambrose, who is one of the main characters of Servant, also came back for this movie. Is like, again, I just like seeing people make movies together.
Yep.
I'm like,
Oh, we all work
I'm like,
well together?
I'm glad
Cool.
you guys are like, you're keeping it
Yeah.
in house in a way. There's like, you're all staying employed with each other. Like, do it, prop each other up.
Yep. So that one's a good watch. It's on HBO Max. It's still new. Definitely worth a watch if you want to check it out. Oh, weird stream time. Yep. We're trying out something new, Derek. Doing a little bit earlier, giving us a little bit better time for us, hopefully.
Derek, soon enough, I will be getting a text from Shay to confirm whether or not 4 o'clock works. She has a weird practice thing she wants to do. It might be in Cadillac. If she is down to skip it, we're good for it. Otherwise, I have to get the car to Shay in time, and I can't go.
We'll let you know. Next one, I watched My Best Friend's Exorcism
On Amazon Prime.
on Amazon Prime.
Yep, I'm familiar. This was last year.
Yep.
Yep.
Didn't watch till this year. What a blast. Fun movie.
Good.
Just fun.
Yeah.
I think it kind of dips in the middle a little bit where it kind of slows down where I'm like, all right, we kind of need to get back to the fun of this movie, which is now the horror fun side of it. Before we're like the fun, it's the 80s and we're best friends as girls.
Yes.
Then there's a dull moment.
It's a
and then
little
it's like fun
totally
horror.
killer kind of
exactly.
thing where you're
I think
like,
it's from
yeah.
the same producers and everything.
Yeah, that
or
makes
whatever.
sense.
So,
that makes sense.
yep, totally fun movie. If you want to check it out for a
Totally
lighthearted.
fun. Nice.
And then
If you haven't yet, if you like that, there's a TV show. I think it's on Paramount. It might have been. I think it's even syndicated to Netflix now, called School Spirit, that you might enjoy.
okay,
It's a murder mystery. Who murdered who? But it is of the murdered person as a ghost in their school.
oh okay,
And somebody from their school. I mean, presumptuous. I didn't finish it, but it seems to have murdered them, and her friends can see her.
okay.
So it's like her friends also.
That does
help
sound
them. Yeah, no, it was. We watched a decent amount of it, but I also loved Yellow Jackets. Didn't finish it. I'm just bad at shows. So
And then I've got a couple more, but I got to do them in a certain order. So the other one I can just talk
Okay.
about real quick. Killer Book Club. I watched for my. I think it was in a school. What was that one? I forget why.
Huh?
It was on my list of that I needed to watch, but I forget the prompt for that one. Was it school, university? Was that one of
Oh,
the prompts?
you must have skipped. College was one.
College was? Yeah, I did
But
jump around.
We talked about sorority row.
Yeah,
we
yeah,
talked
yeah.
about-
Did Killer Book Club. It's one of the ones on Netflix that's dubbed over, which is sometimes hard for people to get into. You can do subtitles in whatever language. I forget. They had multiple languages. I don't know which one it was originally.
Sure.
But it's a real fun one. It's very much the I Know What You Did Last Summer / Scream / those teenage movies nowadays about a book club that accidentally kills their teacher, and then in the future all of a sudden in their little group a book starts coming out, and each chapter one of them dies, and then the killer starts coming after him, and you got to figure out who the killer is. It's only could be someone in our group. Is it the new guy? Is it this? They all have unique nicknames, like is it the emo? Is it the brat? Is it the
They got
all that
cliques.
stuff? Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's fun.
That's a fun one. I think it did take me longer than usual to get used to the mouths don't match the words.
Oh,
That usually I can, once I get into it, I just forget. But maybe because it was my second movie that day, I was like, man, it's really taking me longer to get into it. So reminds me of Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark movie. Kind of, yeah.
No, I'd say so for sure.
It's good. It's fun. All right.
There's another one like that, Night Books, on Netflix.
Okay. Night Books.
Night Books. I had to type it in because I just forgot the name. But
Interesting.
I heard really good. I heard this is one of the best gateway horrors to watch in recent years.
Gotcha.
So, recommend.
So then, 2 movies back to back. We watched The Exorcist Believer, the sequel to Exorcist.
Yeah, that's true. It is, I guess. I still have to watch that one, but I don't know, man. I just don't, because it was supposed to be a trilogy and they canceled it. So it's I don't know if I want to. It's like doing the Midnight.
The
Midnight Society.
Is that what it is? I thought it was Club. Midnight Club? No, it's not it. Might be Midnight.
Midnight Club, dude. I love Midnight
No,
Club.
well, Midnight Society, isn't that the superheroes? The
What's? I mean, you tell me what it's called. I didn't watch it.
God dang, I don't remember. It's got to be.
The Midnight Club.
It is the Midnight Club. Okay.
Oh shit! It is Midnight Club. That's funny.
There you go.
Because I've never tied that to the racing game.
There we go.
Okay.
Yeah, so I watched The Exorcist Believer.
Yeah.
Got my heart. I really like that movie a lot.
Fuck off, dude.
It was-
I mean, I haven't seen it, so I really don't.
I
know.
really liked it. I thought it was very good. Which one's that?
Midnight Society is the fucking the what's his face, Dr. Disrespect.
Oh, that is.
Damn, bro, that's way different.
Remember when I was laughing yesterday? I was like, I didn't want to bring it up, but when we were talking about why won't it print a PDF, and all I could think of was the he went from doc to PDF joke. And I just think that's still one of the funniest tweets I've ever read. Anyway, I really like The Exorcist Believer. So we got done with it, and Bethany's like, "Oh, I've never seen The Exorcist." And I was like, "Oh, we could watch it now," because
That's a weird order.
essentially what happened was the mom from the first Exorcist is in this movie.
Yeah.
And I go,
Reagan got a credit.
well, spoilers. All right.
Yeah, well, she got a credit, so I don't care. Listen, man, we're past spoilers.
I'm just like, oh yeah, she's the mom from the original movie, just so you know. She's like, oh, okay. So we got done and we're like, let's watch The Exorcist. So then we watched The Exorcist. Now, Stokes, I've seen a lot of horror movies. I've written 3 horror books, 2 released, 1 pending. I love horror. And I gotta believe, and before this moment, I would have said I've seen The Exorcist. I don't know if I've seen The Exorcist until now, because every scene that I remembered
Interesting. Is the last 15 minutes.
is like little bits that I'm like, did I just see clips? Did I see this? And then also I was like, this scene didn't happen. And I think I'm getting it confused in a scene from Poltergeist. Is Poltergeist the bathroom with the flies?
Amityville.
Is that Amityville?
Yeah.
Okay, Amityville. I'm getting movies confused. So obviously, well, one, I was like, I've seen The Exorcist, it's got to be 20 years ago now at this point. Like, I haven't really watched this movie.
I just watched it this year. I really love that movie.
I just watched it.
Yeah. Fresh eyes.
Man, that is a very boring movie.
No, it's
And that movie should be 86 minutes long, not 2 hours.
So that's the thing. It's 2 hours, right? I mean, actually, I don't know if I would have said that, but it feels like 2 hours at the very least.
It's 2 hours and 2 minutes.
Okay, so it feels it too, because watching it again, I mean, the parts you remember are the scary bits, right?
Right.
Or the spider walker peeing herself, or let Jesus fuck you or whatever. All those crazy things, right? Your mother sucks cocks in hell.
And the visuals, the coloring, the shots.
No, but that's the thing when you watch it, like the.
Yep, the music.
As she's walking back to her house sideways with the fall leaves,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
she's I'm just like, oh,
So good.
It's what I need.
But the
But
movie,
dude, it's so crazy because like I don't know what it is, but I watched that movie pretty young, and I immediately found you know what probably got me to watch it was there was that weird licensing issue where they made the same movie directly after each other.
Yep.
You remember it was like Exorcist Beginning and Exorcist Dominion? Dominion for
Something.
sure. I watched them both back to back without knowing what they were. I was just like, 2 Exorcist movies, I'll do it.
Yeah.
And I remember being like, oh, it's Father Merrin and it's doing the thing and I get it. And oh, that's what he was in Iraq. And like so there was something about like an accidental appreciation I got for it. But I love all the Iraq stuff. I love all the weird pagan visuals. I love all the weird like transition shots, the audio that she does, like her voice, just every layer of that movie I really love. But it's one that if someone said, hey, what are the top 10 horror movies I should watch? Like The Exorcist was one we talked about, but I don't think we put it on.
I think we did, and I would take it.
If we did, I wouldn't take it off. I seriously love that movie. And
So-
the last 30 minutes goes so... It doesn't. I can't say it goes so hard because it's not like fast.
I was gonna say,
but it's the important part of the movie, right? And it's because you watch that movie and you're like, I guess the main character isn't who I thought. Because to me, it's Demi, Karras, Father Karras. Dude,
so worthless.
I give a fuck about
Oh
that guy,
my
dude.
God.
I seriously, I'm like, dude, I think this is his movie. Like, and if I reframe it that way, it just feels like a bigger movie to me. I'm like, Marin is a side character, but also so is Reagan, so is Mom, and it's like all to tell the Karras story and his like sacrifice and everything. And the more the Exorcist goes on, it's about Karras. Too Heretic is not. Don't watch that one.
Okay.
But Exorcist 3, which is actually directed by William Peter Blattery. It's the writer of the book. His is of course true to his own story, right?
Right.
But
yeah.
it's one that it is a story focused on a detective trying to solve a murder, but it all is revolving around Karras. So it's just another layer of like, I've been watching the first movie wrong, you know?
That's fair. I think
And if you go in with fresh eyes thinking you've seen it and you're expecting one movie, but you don't. The reason I rewatched it is because I watched a documentary about it. It was the Cursed Films, I think, if I remember. And it was just like, man, I'm ready to watch this again. And I knew it was slow in the beginning. And I knew it was going to start in Iraq for 20 minutes. And I knew it was just all that stuff.
Yep. I feel like, so if you take out the one shot when the exorcism is happening, that doesn't even make sense, where he's like envisioning the statue with her like doing the, again, amazing cool shot with the lights coming through her dress and the statue's there. But
it's so
but
good.
she's not
Dude, those
actually,
hands.
but she's not actually doing that. It's just him thinking she's doing that because she's still tied to the bed.
Yeah.
So it's like, doesn't even make sense in the moment. It's like, is he envisioning the statue and her doing something? So he's seeing nothing real? Very confusing. So if you take that out, all of Iraq needs to be deleted. And then everything with Karras, delete it. Just his mom, you needed one line of him being
I
like...
didn't read the book.
Okay.
I didn't read the book, but apparently a lot of it takes place in Iraq. So I imagine that's why they did it, like actually. In the movie, there's an argument to say that it's for visual ties later.
Yeah.
But it's also the reason that Marin even really gets involved. I mean,
You could have just said he's the guy that's got
of
the
course,
most...
he's
doesn't
the
matter.
guy. We're going to call him the expert, and there's Roger Marin.
Also,
I don't know.
So it has Father Karras, and you see he's dealing with his mom, and then the mom shows up. She shows up, and she's in like a mental institution or something. He's got to go, and she's like, "Don't worry, Mom, I'm here. I'm going to take you home." Yada yada.
I think it's a mental. Oh yeah, because she like tried to kill herself or something. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he has that moment. Literally, like a scene or two scenes later, they go, "Yeah,
She's
he lost
dead.
his mother," and I went, "No, he didn't. She was just in the. What are we talking about?" And then he's like, "Yeah, he's drunk and she died." I'm like, "When did she die? I'm so confused on this timeline."
You don't see her death.
And I was like, "What?" And then they're like, "Oh, Burke died. And I went, Burke. Oh, I know who that is. Went through the whole movie, got done with the movie, and Bethany's like, who died again? I was like, Burke. He's the guy. Remember, she comes downstairs and goes, oh, you're gonna die, and then pees. And then she's like, I don't think that was Burke. And I was like, no, I mean, she says you're gonna die. You're gonna die up there, up in the room. Makes sense, totally. That's not who dies. It's the drunk director. And I'm like, why did the drunk director die? And then when I was like, I thought it was this guy because that was the one the mom was trying to get with.
Because you're pulling stuff that I didn't pay attention to that bit as much, so I just don't remember.
It was so, and then there's a whole scene of a priest walking, carrying flowers, and then walking this way carrying flowers. Then goes into a church and carrying flowers. Then he sets up flowers, and then there's a statue that's got like boobs and a snake penis on it.
Hot.
And then it goes away, and I went, so did Reagan do that? Who did that? Why did we just watch that scene? It is.
God, I mean, I'm not watching it with your eyes, I guess, but
I was like, I got through that movie. I was like, literally, that movie should be like 86 minutes, and it would be awesome. But it's 2 hours, and majority of it is just worthless. Just worthless film that is shot really well and really well made, but does nothing to make this a movie.
I don't know, but the last however long, maybe not so much now because you coming into it different, but it's fucking scary.
I was by that point I was kind of falling asleep. I was bored in the movie.
Well, one of the touchstones I can think of, and I said I watched this movie younger. I was like, my sister was someone who was very like, I love horror too. Like I like what you like, big bro. And if she did this once when she said she likes hot sauce. I'm like, oh, you like hot sauce? Here, put a little of this on your finger. And she fucking, and then who had to go sit on the car while the rest ate in the restaurant?
Yeah,
I did. It makes good sense because I was an asshole for that. But it's the same thing of like, oh, you like horror movies, do you? For some reason, I put my little TV in her room and put in The Exorcist VHS. I was like, this is the one. And she was crying. Like, I could hear her cry. At the end, she was crying when it was all going down. So it was like, she wasn't like 4. She was probably 8.
Gotcha.
She was crying to this movie. And I'm like, I don't know. There is something scary about this movie. It's like a... It's a very
many people
scary
talk about that.
I don't know. I'm not someone who takes to possession or believes in possession or whatever, but I don't know, man. Everything with Karis and his mom, like it feels heavier to me than like the head turning around and the puking and
it was really
Jesus like that stuff.
It was really funny too because I'm watching it and I'm like, man, I'm bored, but Bethany doesn't. It maybe not seeing what I'm seeing. Maybe she's having fun. And Reagan vomits and she's like all possessed or whatever. She's like, why is she throwing up Nickelodeon slime? And I just started laughing. I was like, it's not Nickelodeon slime.
When you're watching this movie in the 70s, there's no such thing as Nickelodeon slime.
Know, but
and also, you haven't seen Scary Movie where everyone's making fun of it and doing whatever. Like,
it was just funny. I was just like, yeah, no, it's supposed to be like it's like a pea mixture, if I remember right. Like
pea soup.
Yeah, pea soup is like the mixture of it. So that's why it has that green color.
I mean, that's what I remember, but I don't really know.
Right.
That's how I remember
it. And she was like, oh, okay. And I was like, yeah, it's just like, it's like the evil, like making her so sick that she's like, and she's like, oh, okay. It's like, cool. And she got more out of it than me because she knew who Burke was. And I was like, I got confused.
It's all kind of silly because, any possession movie really does this. Maybe it's because of The Exorcist, but at the end we see Reagan walking down the stairs, books in hand, all cutesy, whatever. And it was like, your head fucking spun around. Yeah. Like, you're dead. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, there's a suspension of what's happening isn't happening. What's like your body isn't actually a real manifested thing, whatever it may be. So all that doesn't bother me in any way.
Thinking of it as Father Karras. Why does it sound weird when I say it now? Karras makes sense because he's the only one we see die. Everyone else dies off screen, which when he goes back in the room and the old priest is dead, I was like, we don't even see him die? What? And I Google, I was like, what killed him? And it's like, he had a heart attack just caused by rain. I was like...
And that's probably in the book, right?
Exactly. I was like,
they're probably like, we don't want to film Max... What's his name?
It's with a V, right?
I'm truly forgetting. But anyway. Yeah, Max von something because he's very German. He's a very German man. But seeing him die, it might have been something.
I was like, that was at that point I was already kind of
Sydow, I think his name. Max von Sydow, I think is his name.
But yeah, I was like, I got done with that movie and I was like, wow.
Well,
that movie's still touted as a lot.
As much as
That's
it
crazy.
would potentially add context, and as much as I still think it's a really great movie, you probably shouldn't watch the third one. Okay. But I like the third one a lot. And like I said, skip 2.
Hey, I watched the sequel. All right, The Exorcist Believer.
Which is, I don't know where the timelines fall, because the third one is tied. Like and there's not the consequence one thinks. Reagan and Mom don't exist in it.
Okay.
It's a sideways movie, not a tall movie. You know what I mean?
So I don't know, because this one, I think
there's probably not a single character from the third one in the.
I think
there's
in this
probably
one
not.
it feels very much like the first movie happened, and then they filled in the gap what happened with Reagan and her mom in the middle, and now we're coming into it where they're in this world dealing with this again, and they go to find the one person that might have answers.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it is. Where the other movies fall, I don't know anything, but it felt, watching them back to back, even though in the reverse order, it felt like here's one and here's the age sequel where they brought back her. I feel like she did more than most
Maybe I'll
times.
go home and watch The Exorcist again.
You should watch Believer.
I want to watch the movie. I really do. But
there
there's
were-
something about putting on a movie that everyone tells me is bad about something that I really love already. I'm like, I don't know.
Because I think there's a lot of things you'll see that because you like The Exorcist so much, there were some, because we watched them back to back, I was like, oh, that's why the dogs were fighting here. That's why we spent this much time in the
Iraq?
beginning in somewhere
Yeah,
else. Not in Iraq, but in like a different, in Iraq. This is why the dogs were fighting in this movie. This is why we spent the first 20 minutes of this movie somewhere
and
else.
that's the thing where
like all the different things.
Say, like I wouldn't have conjured the visual of the dogs fighting, but you said it, and I'm like, oh yeah. Like I don't know what it is about my memory with movies. I more remember the feeling than I do the actual like the what is going down. So things like you're gonna die, who's dying off screen, whatever. And also you got to think too, like you have not seen it enough to ever talk about it to whatever. But anytime I'm looking for something Exorcist related or I get it, it's fed to me as like 50 years ago there was a masterpiece made. Let's talk about it, and that's okay because I love that. I'm okay with super positive academic speech regarding a movie. But if that's what I'm being fed, it might just help me ignore something that's more glaring or something. So I would look at it for that. But it's also just another excuse to watch The Exorcist.
The other I've never seen the OG. Okay, you can skip it. Actually, I thought about downloading
which
it.
Which one have you seen?
I thought about downloading it and re-editing it to about 86 minutes. You can watch that one. I'll fix it for you. Because there's very little music.
I'm going to his list. There's letter what?
There's very little music in the movie, so it's really easy to cut scenes together. Because that's the big
the
problem
music
with
that
movies.
hits fucking hits.
It does hit. Her walking down the road with the fall, I was like, this is so good. I don't get that feeling throughout the rest of the movie, but that one moment's really
sounds
good.
more like you went, this is so good.
No,
you
no,
know
no.
what I mean? Like
Again,
like
shots.
There's plenty of movies I've watched that I'm like, this is a work of art. Get me out of this fucking movie. I don't want to watch
At that
Silence
at
again,
that moment,
you know?
not yet. I haven't got to that point yet because that's early in the movie.
Yeah, I guess.
The moment that I was like, this is a really good shot, but I really don't want to watch this movie anymore is when the two priests are sitting on the stairs and they're like opposite sides of the camera, but between them are the bars of the stairs. So it's like, oh, they're sitting together in this fight, but they are on they're like separated by something still. It's just a very good way to tell a story in a shot just by putting these two people on two different parts of the stairs. Really cool moment. That was a shot where I was like, that's a really good shot, but I am done with this movie at this point. I thought you had seen Exorcist Believer because another big thing is I like the ending of Believer.
I'm gonna go potty.
All right, you go potty.
Time to talk about The Social Network.
Yeah, it's timely.
Also, he said ruthless about something. Here's you being ruthless about The Exorcist, I imagine.
Yeah, I just said that if you need to watch it, watch it. I wouldn't tell anyone to watch that movie now. Much like our next movie we're going to talk about.
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting because I think if there was somebody who's like, I want to get into horror, I think it's important to watch. Opinion attached to this, boring or otherwise. It's important to watch some of the boring movies, like
Hey, Exorcist,
because there's a level of like, wow, I didn't like that, but now I get it. Like I've seen the baseline. Let's go from there. I've seen everyone's iterations, but when someone references something, you can now recognize.
I think
it.
Exorcist will go on the shelf right next to Citizen Kane and The Godfather for me. I get it.
I've never seen The Godfather,
But, no.
I also really enjoyed Citizen Kane.
Okay.
I know you didn't, but
I think those movies will stand together.
Like for me, one of the ones of it's so important. There's something about it I just don't feel like ever watching, but I can recognize it as great as the Texas Chainsaw, the OG.
Okay.
That's one that I'm just like, the shot of her walking up to the house is perfect filmmaking. I'm good. You
That's
know what
fair.
I mean? Like, I don't want to hear her screaming for the last 40
Honestly?
minutes. But we put it on the list, right? Because it was the same thing of like you said. I remember you're like, you want to see her cry or scream or whatever for 30 minutes. I'm like, if I were new, I would.
That's the thing is that one might also go up there for me. I'm gonna try to. I might go back and rewatch some of the older ones that I thought I
Well, because
nailed.
like again, if you were to say Texas Chainsaw or Texas Chainsaw 3D, I'm 3D. Like I would,
Get her, cuz.
I would rather watch 3D 5 times in a row. You know what I mean?
makes sense.
I forget their names because it's so bad. Origins, The New Beginning, like
Oh, yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
All of those are awesome. I love those ones. But the first Texas Chainsaw is the like, if you have to watch one, watch this. You know, Friday the 13th. I still believe it's 3, but all the same.
Okay. The next movie we're talking about.
Yeah.
This is the big one. So
Is this your final one?
This is my final one.
Okay, good. Because I was like, if there can't be anything after
I
this. right?
finally watched Saw 10. Now, for everyone who knows, or Saw X, depending on how you read it. Socks. I love the Saw movies. I think I love 1. This my second favorite's 5. Like I go the first 7.
5.
I go through the whole range. I think it's 1,
tell you,
5.
I love all of them, so I'm with you.
Probably 1, 5, 6.
What do you like so much about 5?
It's the dueling detectives.
1 makes good sense. One's great.
1, it's the dueling detectives, and it's I think like at that point, if you go through 1 through 5, it's the only one besides the first one where we see someone get out of a trap. Because you see Amanda get out of the trap in the first one, and she's like talking to it.
Gordon.
I guess, but at that point we don't know if he survived.
True.
So he does, but
Really, the only one, huh?
so 3 and 4 are tough because I think there are people that get out, but it's like, hey, choose who you want to kill.
The son is out, and he was in some pretty fucking perilous situations.
But
Amanda
I don't think
gets
he was
out.
But
Asterix.
I also don't think the kid was ever in danger because Amanda was there. If he would have ever got close to dying,
Amanda was
would
there,
have
but she got her ass thrown in that pit of fucking needles, dude. I don't know, man.
I think a lot of that.
And also, he was definitely in danger. I think they were in the bathroom, right, when they were talking. When the big guy's like, "I'm gonna kill you," get these numbers, and he fucking carves his own off. Mm-hmm. It's a pretty fucking threatening situation. The dad clearly thinks he's in a threatening situation. Donnie Wahlberg.
Right. I subscribe to the
third
fact that
one-
it was all planned to land
What
that
are you about to
exact
say
way.
about the third one, fourth one being crazy or weird?
One of them, I think it's the third one, if I remember right.
the needles. Oh,
If-
when she's like, but then just.
I think it was the third one where a guy picks to save an old lady or a young kid. Because he's the.
That's 6.
Is that 6?
Because it's the insurance one, remember? And it's like, by all measures, he should live. But she has the family. She has this. She has more to live for.
Right,
He's
okay,
the
okay.
loner.
Yeah.
That's the insurance hounds.
Okay.
So
then.
for me, the
So then
third.
she doesn't save it. Then he doesn't save anyone in the third one because the girl
Now,
freezes.
I mix
the head twists.
these up. That's the third one.
Yeah.
The third one is the.
The guy drowns in the. Oh no! Oh
No, the
He
third-
saves the guy, but then he ends up dying later.
because he pulls the gun. He goes, "Oh, it didn't shoot," and it shoots his fucking face
Yeah.
off. No, I remember being like, "This guy saved nobody," and
Yes.
then he additionally kills 2 people.
Yes.
He's like, "Oh, Jigsaw,"
And then
it
dies.
kills his wife.
And then the fourth one, no one gets out. Even the person you thought that got out doesn't get out.
Dude, the fourth one is the one that I'm least on because I was like, his lesson was to not bust through a door.
Yeah.
Are you fucking kidding? And he busts through the door, and Donnie Wahlberg catches a couple ice blocks to the fucking dome. Which also, if I'm in a saw trap, kill me that way.
It was so
Kill me
fast.
with 700 pounds
So
of ice
quick.
blocks crushing my head. It just explodes. I'm like, dude, you don't even get to see it coming. It's just like, I'm going to die here in a second.
Yep.
Rather than, and that guy didn't do a fucking thing.
Well, he hit a kid with a car.
Which was the punishment and the crime, dude. And he went to court. He did all the stuff, right? It was an accident.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so sorry that it happened. It was an accident. That poor man got every limb twisted off. Donnie Wahlberg, apparently an equal criminal to be thrown into this fucking thing, he's scared for a long time, tippy toes on the ice blocks, but then he catches the ice to the head and just explodes.
Donnie
What about
Wahlberg-
the guy that's got to push through the watermelon knives, as they're called, to get your fucking
The,
face?
uh,
I'm like, dude, these people have it different.
Donnie Wahlberg isn't fair either because he got out. He gets chained and he gets out.
Yeah,
and then
'cause
they
he
put him in
fucking
again.
breaks his shit, right, and he gets up.
He breaks his own
Yeah, but
foot.
that was to escape. That wasn't to escape a trap.
Well,
It was like, no, you're not in the trap yet. Stop.
Oh,
No, we'll keep going about
Anyway,
traps and stuff.
so
but you, yeah,
I like
I
five.
could talk about
the,
Saw all day.
the dueling detectives is a really cool story. I thought it was more about the
Dude, 5 has one of the best openings with the tracheotomy, with the pen.
with the pen and you.
As
Yeah.
he's breathing through the pen. Yeah, and he's, you know.
So good.
Yeah,
That's
that was-
old Luke from Gilmore Girls.
I know, I
Fantastic.
knew him as that, but I was like, oh, hey, they got the guy from Saw and
And
Gilmore
the
Girls.
whole time you're watching the Jigsaw killer of the time do the Jigsaw things. It's not like you don't.
It's not the behind the
It's not.
scenes.
It's not really
the-
behind the scenes, but he's like you can see how somebody that runs a normal life also is the Jigsaw killer, and I really like that
Yeah.
story point at that moment in the story.
And 6 is the one that ends with another bear trap, right?
Yes, because he gets it
Dude,
stopped and it rips his.
I'm
mouth.
like, that's so fucking smart. I
So
hate that
good.
you're alive, Hoffman.
So
I
good.
hate it.
so good.
Yeah, but that was a really cool
Anyway,
moment.
I love the first 7 Saws, all for different reasons. The next one, Jigsaw, I also really liked.
Yeah,
Spiral.
Jigsaw. I was
fine.
surprised. I was like, oh, it feels like a smaller movie. Like they didn't get the budget. They closed the set. It's like there's grain falling on this guy,
Mm-hmm.
but the lasers, blood effect, and the twisting. I was like, that's fun.
It's fun.
I like this.
Yep.
I was happy with that movie.
I also like that it showed, like, Jigsaw's like, well, all my traps are designed that people have to sacrifice something, but I do want people to win. So when the whole thing is that guy's knocked out at the beginning and he doesn't even get a chance to fight, it's like Jigsaw comes in and stops it or whatever, and it's like, so Jigsaw did have like I have a plan, and then
He had
Amanda
a
and stuff.
compass. It was directed a little different than most people's, but it was a compass.
Yes.
It was he had his rules. Now keep going. I already lost what I
anyway,
was going to say. about
Jigsaw's
Jigsaw,
good. Spiral
man.
wasn't for me. That was, too much
I
of a
think I
version.
actually hated Spiral.
I
The more I think about it, like as it sits with me, I'm like, man, I really disliked this movie. There was nothing I liked. The twists didn't work. The visuals of certain things just never landed for me. I don't know. It just didn't do what I wanted it
And that's
to
like
do.
Spiral from the Book of Saw, which then they go, that's just the 9th Saw movie because this one's Saw 10.
Yeah, and we're like, okay, sure, let's
But
do it.
you're bringing Saw back in. It's just Saw 10, which means you're bringing it back to its roots. It's going to be Saw again. I'm here for it. Wow, they really just didn't, did they? They really
Thank God, bro.
didn't.
Oh, thank God. I've been on the
Oh
edge
my
of my
God.
seat dude, because if you came in so hot that you love this movie, I'd be like, you fucking shill, you
This-
phony, I hate you. This is Saw, this is Scream 6.
Wow, this
Or, yeah, 6,
This-
5, whatever. This is all over again.
It's
where I'm
so
like,
bad.
there is a collective delusion around people that, and I don't know what it is, because sometimes I feel like
spoilers for the movie. We're going to get into
I'm
it.
going to spoil this. We
Yes.
spoiled the rest. I'm spoiling this one. There's something I think about how we watch movies that sometimes when we watch it with somebody else, they're gonna feel what we feel. Like
Yeah.
we're gonna make it pretty fucking clear how we feel. And because there are times that you come out and you're like, oh, Bethany said this was also stupid, and I'm like, I didn't agree with you. And I talked to Bethany, and she's maybe somewhere more in the middle afterwards because I
Right.
can argue my points, and we have malleable people around us.
Yes.
Less locked in their
Right.
ways kind of people. After this movie, I saw it with Andrew in Georgia, and he was like, why the fuck was that a Saw movie? Because he's like, and this is him talking, I didn't say a word. He's like, as far as I know, the point of Saw was just thrown out the window. And like, these people in the traps just got fucked. Like, it was like Amanda was running it again. You go ahead. You keep explaining. Because that was his idea. That was his mental.
So for me, they were like, let's go and make John Kramer the main character.
Not a bad idea.
Not a terrible idea. However, you killed him 5 movies ago. So now you're like, I got to pigeonhole this movie in a window.
Which, there's things about this movie I was already ready to suspend. Tobin Bell is older. I don't really care if it fits because the 7 work. In 7, there's who did write that note that put the thing, and it was Gordon there. I was like, I never asked that question. I just assumed it was Amanda or whoever it was that wasn't there.
Mine was like, why how did
Who set up the bear traps? Who did
the scene from 2 where he gets the thing sewn in his eye,
Yeah.
and the guy has a limp, and it's like, who's a doctor that has a limp that could have done this in 2? And I was like, did you think about this in 2? That's
And
crazy.
You had to.
Had to.
Who knows if you had everything up till 7 or if you're like, this is going to be a trilogy, and they're like, no, we need 6 more fillers,
yeah.
and they're like, oh, more self-fulfilling loops as we go, and then oh, there's Gordon. So I felt like it was super complete. This movie didn't need to answer any questions, and I knew that. I was like, I don't need context anymore. I know he's sick. I know this.
I even
know
thought-
whatever. And they brought back whoever it was that played Amanda. Sean. I'm forgetting.
Who's also older, which we're like, forgive.
She's older.
Yep,
She's
yep.
had some work done. I'm like, I'm just suspended. I don't care. For a 10th movie in a franchise, I don't give a fuck. If they're picking out, this was one of my critiques for Longlegs, Micah Monroe, who's had a little bit of lip filler, a little whatever. She's supposed to be playing a like super down-to-earth detective in the 90s. I'm like, you're yassified. As not Brent's
There it
just
is.
learned this.
I learned the
I can
term.
see a little bit too much yassified in you, and I think they might have cast you a little bit poorly for that. This was where I'm just like, I can't care now.
Yeah.
I don't care.
I've already bought the ticket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's pigeonholed.
So it's pigeonholed, so which, whatever. I felt like, because the beginning of the movie starts and there's a saw trap in the beginning of the movie, but it's all in Tobin's head.
It was fake. Yeah, it
was
was like,
fake.
I'm going to do it
and
to
I was
this
like,
guy.
that's a producer note that goes, hey, you're making Saw 10 without a scene here. We don't have a saw trap for 45 minutes. That's not how Saw works.
They all start with a cold open, right?
Right.
Every single one of them.
Yes.
Then they're all real.
Yes.
So they're like, we need a cold open trap.
Something.
Fair thing to ask
And it's
for.
not even a cold
I
open.
think.
That happens like 20 minutes, not even 15 minutes into the movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a misremember. You could have told me that it happened immediately. That like we saw the slight happen, and he's in the trap. Like,
Oh, no, yeah.
5 minutes in.
No, we've learned that he's got terminal cancer. He's gone through that. He doesn't know what he's going to do.
I thought that was on the way into the office.
He's got the meeting with like the other people that are in the group, where the one guy with the sewn stomach that isn't sewn comes back, and like we're into this movie by the time we see the first trap, and it wasn't even real.
Yeah.
And I was like, is this him
God,
getting?
what was the trap? I'm trying to remember it.
He's got turn a dial to snap all his fingers, or he's gonna get
His eyeballs sucked out.
Eyeballs sucked out. But when the tubes were there, I thought acid was going into his eyes because there was a drum and the tubes. I was like, oh, acid's gonna pour into his eyes. And then something happens, and then his eyeballs get sucked out. Oh, I was like, oh, I didn't know that's how the trap was gonna go. I don't know if I like that as much.
Homie's got to break his fingers. I had to watch a girl cut her fucking arm off.
Right?
You know what I mean? I'm like, but it's just all in his head. So it really
All is in his head.
non-consequential.
And
but
also
I was like, is this trap easy?
My thing was
Not
is
easy.
this-
Breaking your fingers is hard, but
But he goes snap 1, snap 2. I'm like,
Here's
just
okay. I've
rip
ripped
it.
that dial switch.
Exactly. Just all 5, snap the fingers.
Band-Aid.
I'm done.
Yep. And all of a sudden, I get to keep my fucking eyeballs.
Yes. So
My
a
fingers
fake
will
trap
heal.
doesn't matter. So I was like, oh, are we at the point where he's figuring out he's going to be Jigsaw? Like we're before the first movie. Like this is his thing. We're now
We're
just
between
learning.
1 and 2, yeah?
We'd have to be. No.
From what I understand, because we have Amanda,
Yep.
I believe we're between 1 and 2.
But we have the other guy too. When does he come in?
Like at the end of the movie?
Oh yeah. But he gets called halfway through the movie. So they have him. I don't know when he became Jigsaw.
No, yep. Saw 10, set between the original Saw and Saw 2. Yep. Saw 3 and 4 take place simultaneously. Jigsaw mostly takes place before the first Saw. So those are the
All makes sense.
those are the timings. Otherwise, it's chronological.
Interesting. When did he become Jigsaw then? When did he survive his trap? I might have to rewatch like 5 and 6 and 7 to figure out his arc then.
Hoffman?
Yeah, the detective.
Yeah.
But anyway. So I was like, oh, maybe we're before all this. Then Amanda shows up and like, okay, we're not in all this.
I did know its placing before I went in.
Okay.
And I also knew, because she was in the trailer, so I knew she was coming back. So
Right.
I had some context.
So then I'm watching the movie and I was like, okay, he's going to this far off wherever to get this surgery.
Mexico.
He's going to cure his cancer. And I was like, are they going to tell us that he cured his cancer and still died?
And then before he gets brain surgery.
Right.
And stuff,
But then
yeah.
I was like, no, he was in a hospital bed in 3. Like he has someone there to do surgery on him. So this surgery can't work. And I was like, okay, cool. We'll breeze by this. We don't breeze by it. A big chunk of that movie is them trying to sell us that this surgery is going to work. And I'm like, 7 movies ago, you already told me this doesn't work. Why are we here?
This isn't because of a trailer or anything, because I didn't watch the trailer. I only got news from Bloody Disgusting. Oh, the new trailer reveals that Shauna, blah, 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 is coming back as Amanda. I didn't know about the guy in the group. I couldn't have told you that because I was like, I just forgot about him by the time he's in Mexico. But I'm like, this isn't real. I automatically know.
Yeah.
Them selling me is actually me watching them sell Tobin or Jigsaw.
Totally. But there's at no point watching Saw 10 can I be sold that this is going to work, because I know it does. You've already told me it doesn't. So why are you trying to sell me on it? You can tell me Tobin got sold on it in 4 minutes.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Well, this movie, I mean, what did it come to? Like maybe an hour and a half, right? I guess I don't remember. I could look it up.
Yeah.
But
again, this is in the beginning of a movie where we've had one Saw trap and it was fake. And I'm like, when do we get to Saw?
It's an hour 58. Wow. Yeah, they definitely could have cut some down.
and there was a point in the movie, and I think it was when he was like looking out over Mexico or something. I think he had his head wrapped. So the surgery, everything's done. And I'm like, eventually, Bethany, I think this does become a Saw movie. I think it happens at some point. And it's got to be an hour in before we start the Saw movie.
This isn't me trying to defend this movie in any way, because there's a lot wrong with it. At this point, I'm still okay with it. I think it's because they say we want to do a different formula. Like, because Saw 4 on they're not the same formula, but they're a different flavor than clearly what this movie is.
Right.
But also the first 3 movies, which is a Jigsaw. He's here. He exists, But they're like, we want to make him the main character. And something about, because I watched plenty of interviews about this after the fact, there was conversation about like, we want to realign you with him. We want to put you on his side so that you can fight with and for his moral compass more so than we ever did before, which I don't say I was sold, because it's not like I ever believed this, of course, but I was like, I feel for this character in some capacity, especially after you watch his unborn son Gideon get killed in with the door and the drug. Oh, and that's Amanda, and oh my gosh, I can see the ties. And I'm like, I can follow all the logic of how he got here perfectly fine. But they said that they wanted to realign. So that's probably why they started at a different pace. Is they're like, we need a general audience movie. We're trying to make a huge amount of money, and we want people to side with the character that is all of these other movies. So let's take the time.
It's just so funny.
We don't need that.
No,
because we've seen all 7 movies. Well, actually 8, 9 movies leading up to it.
And also, I was always on Tobin's side, and I felt like, wasn't everybody? The problem that happens with Jigsaw is he starts gathering people that don't share his moral compass.
Exactly. The 2 people he gathers, Amanda and Hoffman. I guess
Gordon does.
This is, Gordon does for sure. Really interesting thing that Bastian told me, because he was in France as these movies are airing, that the 3rd one was was it the 4th one? Was NC-17 their equivalent? It's like, I think they call it -18.
Okay.
There. But it was the only one -18.
So it's like,
actually because of a spoiler, that because all of these traps, there weren't ways out. Because Amanda like welds the door shut when the guy gets his jaw ripped off, and the bomb and stuff, that because it was actually just torture with no escape, it changed the rating of the film.
that's crazy. Is it -18? Because it's like, if you can -18 from your age, you're
no.
Yeah. If you can -18 from your age and you don't exist, you can't see this movie. Is that like what? That's so weird.
Well, I think of it. My thought is like Ghostbusters is there's the ghost, so we could call it Ghost, and we're gonna put an X through it. Is -18?
Gotcha.
You're less than 18.
Less than 18. Okay. In my head, I was like,
are you 18 minus? Anyway.
It's the Saw version of Rogue One. All love to Gary Whitta.
We love Gary Whitta.
Love Gary Whitta. So
I also liked Rogue One.
I think I liked Rogue One, except for the fact the reason I went and I bought the ticket was for one shot, and it got deleted.
I know, that's we can't blame. We can blame somebody, but I don't know if it's.
I don't know who I'm blaming.
Yeah.
And I can't put it on the movie because the movie's still good. But man, that shot was so cool in the trailer.
And our favorite trailer has one of those too. So,
exactly.
What are we gonna do?
So, because even at the end, once the Saw of the movie starts happening, it just doesn't feel the same.
Well, keep going chronologically.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Keep going through your things.
So then we're going through this. Then all of a sudden he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna go give my what does he bring? He brings something. The wine or whatever.
It was wine to the person who like care took for
right.
him. He's like,
and so he goes into this building that they're like, it's all cleaned out, but it's all cleaned out in the sense that it looks like a rush job and things are broken. And I'm like, are you still trying to sell me and him on the fact that maybe they got ransacked by the people they were hiding from? Because it's probably they just picked up and left because they were all frauds. But they couldn't just pick up and leave because then there's no way for him to find the DVD of the surgery. And I'm like, if they're still pulling this con, which they are, why is all this stuff just left here? They need all these things again.
yeah.
This is only here to tell him that it was all fake, which he could have just done by removing his thing.
Because people end up knowing it's fake.
Yeah.
Because there's people who are talking about the scam of it all, right?
People?
Well, because it's done to so many other people, and they all end up dying because their cancer is terminal
dead,
and all their money's gone and everything. But what's interesting is the movie is simultaneously arguing that he shouldn't have been there. The only reason he even got back there is because he fucking quantum calculused it with the moon and a tower.
Oh, yeah, I did forget that.
So it's like, he shouldn't be here.
Right.
So also, they're not thinking 4 layers deep fucking clearly.
Right.
Because they're also doing this in the city that they live in.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, like this, they're shitting where they eat. You know what I mean?
Because, I guess they didn't have to pull out because he didn't know where they were, but he was able to figure it out. So they really didn't have to do anything to the area.
So then that's where it's like, well, what is this pullout then? And why did you take all this stuff?
It's actually even worse
and then
than I
what
thought.
did you leave? No, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. And then it was like, well, it looks like, and he even believes like, oh, but then it's like, oh, there's the DVD of a fucking surgery right there. Yeah. And then what does he find? Nothing. So it was like, I guess because they sacked him up and everything to lead him to the secret spot.
Which I also get like, hey, your bandage is doctors will say shit to me and I'll go, yeah, sure. I don't even know if half this is real. 9 times out of 10, it's not, stupid doctors. But
there's a little bit of a Brent opinion coming through.
But then they go, but then he's like, how did I? And he takes off the wrap. He's like, oh, there's nothing back there. And I was like, they cut your skull open. There's no way you couldn't have. You didn't feel.
Who knows?
You know what I mean?
Did they numb them up real bad? Before
Not
they
even
put them
that.
in
Just like
I don't even know.
afterwards. Like it's been a few days. How do you not know if your skull's been opened or not?
Hey man, I don't know. He's old. He's frail. With cancer. Numbed brain.
Yeah.
Drugs.
And then it was him essentially gathering all of them, which
it's
I
like
think
the Avengers, but not
in the reverse. Yeah. So let me gather all these people, and then it's like, oh, and later on, it's like, oh, well, it wasn't Tobin that gathered them; it was Amanda, and I was like, well, of fucking course it was. What do you mean? I didn't at once for a second believe Tobin collected any of these. What are we talking about? Sure. But then they all get, essentially, it's the 4 of them, right?
It's probably
5.
Hard for me to count.
There's 5. There's like the anesthesiologist. There's the main blonde girl. There's the one girl that's like the drug one that Amanda feels for. There is the other lady that's like the other nurse or whatever, I guess I would say.
The anesthesiologist, I'm forgetting.
He's the one
with the hot trap.
Yes.
Okay. What's the other male then?
The other male was the cab driver. He's not in the room with them. It's before. It's where Tobin gets all the information on the rest of them. But
okay, there you go. So I remember.
Yes.
I was like, man, I really don't remember the 5th one.
And then the 5th secret one of the last remaining is the guy that was getting the other surgery. That again, he shows up, and I'm like,
that's the end of the movie one with Hoffman there.
No, the one at the end of the movie with Hoffman is the guy that like. It's like, oh, I had this massive surgery.
That's the guy. Oh, so the guy
other
that the
guy
blonde
at the
one's
neck
with.
service. Yeah,
Okay,
the neck surgery. He's like the secret one.
So
at the
anyway,
end.
they're all at this warehouse.
They're all at the warehouse. They're all chained
And
up.
again,
and he's like,
I have a major suspension of disbelief in 1. They're all here. 2, we made traps.
yep.
Now they did a good job of making them look homemade. Like, oh, we didn't have what we normally
this
would
is
have.
Saw at home.
Yeah, exactly. But he's still, it's Saw 2. He's still kind of trying to figure his shit out. You know what I mean?
So the other thing too is because really quick jumped in. I thought this was the movie they were going to explain. Well, how does John Kramer do all this stuff? Well, he's got a bag of money from these bad doctors, so that's how he's able to do 3 through 7. That's what pays for all of the saw going forward.
Yeah, that's how he bankrolls it.
But no, he just hands it to the little kid and he goes, "Here, take this money." I go, "So you're not even setting up the money pays for anything."
Well, I didn't care about that. Whatever. Yeah.
But I'm trying to find a reason why to make this movie, and so far I'm struggling.
Well, let me tell you why to make the movie, because they wanted more money.
That's fair.
And also, potentially, they needed to make more Saw movies to keep their licensing, to keep their rights. So
Gotcha.
we know the real reason why they made this movie, but go ahead.
Right. So then they start one by one. They're taking out people.
They're trapping them.
They're trapping
They're going
them.
through the traps.
And it's so funny because I feel like before, saw traps were like, you either, like, because they do it with the one and the guy breaks his fingers. It's not like he's a second away from breaking his last finger. Halfway through, he just gives up and then he gets too close to death and then he tries to do something crazy to save himself and he fails. These ones were like,
Dude, this was I have bigger actual problems with this movie, but these were the ones that I was like, I'm like disappointed. Like, I'm not even mad. I'm disappointed.
yeah,
The girl that cuts her leg off
Yeah.
and collects the marrow and does all the thing. I'm like, get her out of that fucking trap, man. Like, she was so close.
She was so
and
close.
And she tried
And
like the whole time.
and it's not her fault.
Dude,
It's just the time. Give him 2 minutes and 30 seconds instead of 2 minutes or whatever it was.
dude, it's
over.
It's just so silly that I was like, you're putting so much pressure on me siding with him, and all of a sudden I'm not with him.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, she should live.
She did the thing.
She did it the best she could, and that frustrates me. Then the guy goes, the hot chair guy. I mean, I might be out of order here, but he
No, that's
goes,
right.
and I'm like, how the fuck is he not alive? He should be alive. Like, he was also so close. I'd be like, you're good, bro. You're good.
You did it. You did the thing.
Yeah.
You know the sacrifice that it takes to live.
Dude, I was so like, that was one of the things that Andrew pointed out before I could even say it. I was in the movie feeling
Yeah.
it. But he's like, and also, didn't they give enough? Didn't they? Because it takes a jump for me to get back to it, like why I double down on why I think it's so bad. But you keep going.
And
So we've got
those
we've
two.
got the traps that those fucking people suffer.
And then it was the next girl who's the drug girl, and she's chained by an arm and a leg, and she's got to whack her hand and foot with a hammer to slip through the chains and break free. And the blonde chick is like, break your foot first, you'll swing out of the way, and then you can swing your hand and the heat gun, jet engine, whatever it was, won't be on you. So she swings out of the way, she does it, and then the thing just moves and stays on her. And I go, well, it didn't matter what you started with. You break either of those things, you will swing out of the way, either down or to the right.
Yeah.
And if you do your hand first, you'll land on a good ankle. If you do your ankle first and then your hand, you're landing on a bad ankle. So obviously she's tense, she listens to the person in charge in the room or
boss,
whatever,
yeah.
but I'm just like, it was the fact that when she swung out of the way and I was like, oh, it did work, cool. And then the thing just moves. I go, all right, I guess. Again, hasn't she done, like that was all fucking Gordon and what's-his-face had to do in the first movie. All they had to do was bust one ankle. Why does she have to do an arm and an ankle? Where are we drawing these
No,
lines?
because even then, she has to do that and then do the fall because she's suspended while doing this. But then I'm like, homegirl had to cut her leg off and fucking suck marrow out of it.
Yes.
I barely remember the guys, but didn't he have to cut his own head open and like pull bits of his fucking
He had to
brain
pull
out?
his brain out and put it in a thing.
And I was like, dude, you have to pull out your fucking brain, and she has to break an ankle. What are we talking about here, dude?
The
this is
levels
the
of-
same movie. You're in the same room.
The levels of what people have to do to be okay.
Crazy, dude.
It's like, remember the first, in like one of the first movies, it was like, well, a guy's covered in flammable jelly, but he's got to walk on glass to find a combination.
yeah, but he's got
got a
match.
candle.
He's got a candle
that's
that's
it.
going to go down or
Yeah,
whatever,
and it's like-
it'll ignite.
Yeah, and I'm like, okay.
We get the shot of him
Yeah.
freaking out, you know.
And I'm like, okay. But really, once he burns alive, which he dies, but if he got out, all he had to do was walk on glass.
Yeah.
The lady sawing through her own leg, dude.
Dude,
And that was
which
the
was
first
a really
one, which
cool
was crazy.
looking trap, though.
Yeah.
Like the blood and everything. It was also the cover of Fangoria when that came out, and I got that as a shade. Don't look at this one. This is crazy, dude. She's got half a leg. Like, oh, I'm
And
like, yo.
also, until the point where the leg falls, I'm like, what an easy effect to pull off. You put like blood underneath her leg, and she just rubs a dull thing like this, and blood comes out.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Yeah, cool.
cheapest, easiest. You add the sound effects
And
in.
it was done really
It makes
well.
me cringe. Yes.
It looked great.
Totally.
But it was, yeah.
It's the
Add
sound
that
effects
into
that makes
the
it.
blood squirt. It's crazy. Yeah. So there's those 3, right? And then we get to we're going to put the blondie in a trap or whatever.
But then everything flips.
It's a fucking reverse Uno. He's in the trap, but I plan for it.
Yep.
You know?
And then it's like, well, let's grab the kid. And then it's just covered in muck. And then they're in the office trying to find stuff. And she's like, wait a minute. That last trap was for you. Who's going to be on the other side of it? It's like, dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun. I was like,
and dude, for sure. I'm like, I fucking hate you for doing this.
Of course. Like, they're setting them up in the trap, the 2 of them. I was like, this was her trap? How?
Say, what was Blonde's trap? Tell me her trap. Tell me the ringleader.
It was the bed. It was the metal rack, essentially, where they get chained down. And they said blood.
No,
it looked like
sorry.
oil.
Her real one. It was pig. It was like the minced up pig, right?
Well, they said blood because they're like, oh, they're getting bathed in blood.
Yeah.
Okay. It looked like oil from Fast and Furious.
But it was like rotten.
When they're like, exactly, that's what it
they're
was.
waterboarding with oil. No, it's I think it was pig's blood. That was like old because this is in a rundown building, right? So it's like spoiled pig's blood.
That was her trap.
Well, but what's her real? Because her real trap. Because that's the reverse Uno.
Because they've got the office with the gas chamber office.
Now tell me about that.
So they have a gas chamber office that is affecting their skin, but they can be saved if they put their head through a little rubber hole and breathe that. Mm-hmm. And
what's the? But there's only one hole.
Yes.
And there's 2 of them.
Yes.
So her trap, you're telling me her trap is to just kill this guy that she's been pretending to love? That's her trap? She has to kill somebody else. It's like Amanda. Like there's a
yeah.
I see the reflection. Except that is way fucking different.
Way easier to just be like, I'm just going to ignore this guy that's dying
doesn't
behind
she just
me.
shoot him? Don't they have a gun from like the corner? Like
no, the gun doesn't have any bullets. He removed all the bullets.
Oh, yeah.
I think she whacks him with a chair and then stabs him or something. Then he's like dies out and then just breathes.
Dude, she sticks her head. I was like, she is the ringleader of all of this. She is the reason. She's pulling these people who are down. Like, listen, I'm not siding with anything on this, but this person is a drug addict. This person is a thief. This person, whatever, they're all poor. They need the help. They just have to come in and be actors where she is the fucking ringleader of this scam. And Homegirl's got to cut her own leg off. He's got to pull out pieces of his brain. She has to kill someone she's been pretending to love to save herself. She didn't, because we're arguing that these traps are teaching them something. Right?
You're right.
What the fuck did she learn? She is literally killing people already and
stepping
taking
on people,
their money. Her trap, I was furious. I'm like, the shit that these people had to go through, and the main person, the one who's the worst of them all, has to kill her fake fucking boyfriend.
And I just watched this movie.
And she
survives.
She fucking survives. Dude,
What?
Of course she does. Because it's the easiest trap in the fucking world. Like,
right.
You put me in there with any Joe Blow, I'll survive.
Yeah.
You put me in the one where I got to cut up my brain, I'm dying.
1,000%.
Like I got to cut my leg off, I'll probably die.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like none of these are realistic. Kill somebody else to stick my head out of a fucking hole. Dude, it wasn't even like to get the key, then use the key to unlock the thing, and then unlock the thing to get. It was just, there's a hole here. You could put your head through it already.
Yeah.
He'll just kill you while you're doing it and then use it. But, dude, it was infuriating. So I came out of that movie like, listen, I got gore porn, torture porn. I don't want that. That's never why I've watched Saw.
Nope.
I watch it for the fun mysteries and twists and the cop versus cop and the whatever. And they
story behind it.
they just switched it. Where I was like, you wanted a story first, so you gave me this. It's almost like the originals where we want more torture porn is what Lionsgate's saying. And they go, cool, we're going to bundle it in a nice story package. And this one's like, the nice story is what they're trying to sell you, but we're going to wrap it in this. And they just don't work. They both completely flip-flopped.
Yeah.
I swear to God, I get out of the next day. I get a text from my cousin who we watched all the Saws back to back. She wanted to become a medical examiner because she goes, "Oh my God, you see the new Saw?" And I'm like, "I did." I just go, "I did." What did you think? Because I'm not gonna, you know. And she goes, "Best one, best traps. I can't believe she got away. What a good ending." And I just wanted to text back, "I hate you." Like, you don't know. We watched Saw together
for different reasons.
different fucking reasons.
It's crazy.
Okay, I'm talking about Stephanie. We watched it for different reasons, and it was just like, it's Scream, where I'm like, I can imagine the person that enjoys this movie and loves it fully. And how can you be the person that loved the first one?
Yes.
What did you enjoy? That I'm like, there's something missing here.
You like that the box art had said Saw on it or so. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, you're
what
like,
are we talking about?
The DVD came in a clear slipcover.
Yeah.
You know?
It's
It
crazy.
it was so crazy to me. And I'm like, I don't know. Who do I like here? Who am I supposed to side with? Like, and now there's another one coming, right? Like Saw 11 is coming. And I'm like, the who, the where, the whatever. It's kind of like this, you know, Scream 7's coming out and Nev Campbell's coming back, whatever. You gave me 5, so now I don't care. Like, you could pretend to give me anything I want. I'll watch. Like,
I'm gonna
What am I
watch
gonna
it.
do? What am I gonna do?
What am I gonna do? Not watch
You're
it?
gonna give me the 11th movie in a franchise. I've seen 10 of them. I'm not gonna watch it. Get
got-
the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna see these movies. But now it's like, really, it's spiral onward. I don't care. I'll never watch them again.
Yeah, I just can't. Yeah.
And that was Saw. I thank God you agree with me, because I wanted to pull up. I actually did pull this up in case for like evidence almost against you, preparing for you to have liked it.
So this is why I flip the script. I did love it.
I did. Oh my God, we shit on it.
Best Saw.
We faked it. Yeah, best Saw movie. We would cancel the podcast. It'd be like, listen. It was just so Rotten Tomatoes.
Even if you
Rotten
like that
Tomatoes
movie,
is down right
how
now.
can it be better than the first? You can't say it's coming.
Rotten Tomatoes is down right now.
Oh, no.
Because of some maintenance, whatever. It's just midday maintenance, I guess.
Yeah.
The original Saw has a 50% on Rotten Tomatoes.
The
It
original Saw?
Is rotten. This Saw has an 80% on Rotten Tomatoes. The original Saw has a 46 on Metacritic. This one has a 60.
The first Saw movie is practically perfect.
For what it is and everything, yeah, I agree. I think you could look backwards on it with a more critical lens because of things like visual style and whatever that you might not like anymore. But the fact that it created a new, like, it was that transformative.
Yeah.
It was, now Saw, people think, oh, torture porn. The first one is not.
No.
Like, it just isn't. I mean, you just didn't watch the right movie. If you know, you're just assuming it is.
It's got that gritty crime on the backside.
It's got the crime. It's got
so
great.
good.
It has big actors.
Yeah.
It's super well written. It's well directed. It's like, it's all the right things. And it got a 50%, which people talking about movies that are beloved today, like, you know, The Shining probably had like a 30%, if that was a real thing at the time, you know, like, I get it.
I didn't want to get into it. There's a lot of people comparing the new Joker to The Shining, where they're saying
Don't say that out loud to me. Don't say that.
Okay.
I want you to stop right now. So I can understand hindsight 2020, like, this was actually a good movie. We missed it. We have the opposite here, where that one is a 50. This one is getting an 80% from the critics, which I'd like to, let me see if I can actually click the link now. Okay, it looks like it's back up. Okay. It has an 89%.
So did it
from
did it
audience
make
scores.
money?
This movie, hand over fist, made fuck you money. This movie made
cannot
fuck you
believe
money,
that.
dude. Let me go back to IMDb here. I got Saw 10 pulled up. Budget. Let me get to it. Budget $13 million. Gross in the U.S. alone $53 million. Gross worldwide $111 million. So soft rounding. This movie made $100 million in profit.
So much like
That's why Saw 10 comes out that next week. Greenlight 11. I don't know if you probably don't remember. It was
Scream 5 and 6 and Power Rangers. Those movies I don't think are made for fans of the franchise.
Throw Borderlands in there.
Borderlands. Same thing with this. This is a Saw movie not made for the fans of Saw, but for everyone else to try to get more money.
Well, and it's funny
It's
because
crazy.
I think it's so funny. There's an argument where the people who make these movies, I'm like, people really do want gore porn? I mean, but you can also, oh man, there's so much to say right there. Because Terrifier, right?
Uh-huh.
Terrifier 3 particularly. Let me pull that one up, money wise. Actually, let me go to the numbers. Let me go to my stats sheet here.
Okay.
Because Terrifier 3, look at They're right on the cover.
Yeah, I can't
right on the
escape
top.
Terrifier.
Oh yeah, and this is a movie again. I don't recommend it to anybody because it's like you're either gonna watch it or you're not. You know, how the fuck? There it is, the full daily chart. What on earth? For Monday? Okay, there we go. Look at #1 movie in America, Terrifier 3.
Yep.
4.7 million that day. Total of 19 million. It was estimated to be 15 to 20. So the fact that it's on the high end, it's at 19 million. The movie was made. No budget's been disclosed, but people are thinking it's about 3.5.
Okay.
2.5 to 3.5 million. That kind of return is insane. What's really interesting is there is a film rights lawyer, like an attorney that worked with Damien Leone and I forget the name of the producer. Sorry. It's like Phil Falcone, I think is his name. Sounds like a Batman villain. Every time I see it, I'm like, is that your name? Like, is that real?
Stage name.
Terrifier 2 happens. It's a surprise, right? It's an accidental big hit. This was all, it was a Kickstarted movie or whatever, a GoFundMe movie, I don't remember, but it was crowdfunded in some capacity. Apparently, they tried shopping it around to the major studios to sell the rights and have pieces of it.
Right,
they weren't trying to get fucked, but they were trying to sell the rights. Apparently, the lowest or the highest they were offered was just under 2 million. Their attorneys coming out and like telling the back end of their story without going too deep into it.
Yeah.
But he's like, this movie they tried selling them 2 million with like the minuscule rights of you're going to get pieces of the profit later, but not much. And this movie made 19 in a weekend. Is like they made the right call. They didn't sell the rights. They didn't do the thing.
Yep.
That's huge. So they have the total control. But that's the cool thing is like it's the gore porn that people want, but they're doing it in a fun, like it's meant to be a sort of old video nasty that people get high and smile and have fun at their house and drink. And there's a party about this movie. Saw 10, it's delivered to be like thought provoking or serious or whatever. I didn't laugh during that movie. I mean, is there probably a quip?
Yeah.
Probably, because Marvel has made everything have a quip somewhere.
Right,
in
it's
there.
got to have something.
But it's like there's two different paths you can go down. The one that's completely independent and from someone who I truly believes loves the horror genre, despite all the flaws of the movies he makes. There's a passion there. And then these ones, where these movies are being ordered and they're being requested, and they say we need to do something different. Take this, and that's how you get in. I think it was 6. I always saw 4 was West, saw 5 wasn't, right? Or sorry, Scream. Scream
Yes.
4 was West. Scream 5
Not West.
was Radio Silence. So it was Scream 6, where it literally goes, "Who gives a fuck about movies?" And they cut to it, and that is gonna. I should get it tattooed on me, dude. It is
my God.
It is so unbelievable that I'm like, I'm not even mad. I laugh at it because I'm like, I think you're trying to subvert something here. And it really didn't work for me.
Wow.
It works for people, and they probably laugh and they go, "Oh, ha ha ha." And Radio Silence, what's really tough is they did Ready or Not. I really enjoyed Abigail. I'm like, I think you like the horror genre. I just don't know if you like Scream.
Yeah.
And if they came to me, I'm trying to think of a franchise I really don't like because I'm pretty soft on a lot of things. I like a lot of things. Can you think of one I don't like? A franchise? Star Wars.
There you go.
Here we go. They said, "Hey, we need you to make a Star Wars movie. After that, we're going to give you a budget to write whatever you want, but you need to be our prop." I'd fucking do it.
Yeah.
And you would see a Star Wars movie closer to the Solo movie than any other Star Wars, and people would probably do the same thing of, "You hate this." And I'm like, whether I hate it or not, I'm like, I just don't care. I wrote and did what they told me to because I want to keep making sci-fi movies in this case.
Right.
And I would be okay with that. And I believe there has to be something like this in here, right? Like that
It's gotta
has
be.
to be what's happening. Same thing with like a Power Rangers was like, who likes, do any of you like this? Or is the studio ordering things here?
Yeah.
It's, and I'm not here to blame Radio Silence because when they get full creative control, I like the stuff they put out. There's no world they had full creative control here, right? Like there just can't be.
Yeah. I don't know. It's a mess. That's how you get Last Jedi.
And that's also how I wanted to bring up Last Jedi, but that's how and even if Rian Johnson loved it, I believe there was probably a lot of interference there. But he gave us Looper and he gave us Knives Out. I don't dislike Rian Johnson. I just dislike his movie.
He did Brick too.
Well, I haven't seen Brick, but
Brick's really good.
I know it's all
It's
thumbs.
really
It's
good.
just you know me. You know me.
Yeah, I know.
But
I
it's-
suggested it, so we won't watch it.
Exactly.
Yep.
So, but Saw 10 to me is like, man, I think we're hitting a different sort of cycle of movies where we're getting props, we're getting mouthpieces directing these movies that are just studio things, and they're like purposefully flipping them to like make us all think they're different because it's the 10th one or it's the 5th one or it's the whatever as we keep going. So I don't know, but there's talks about
Solo fucks hard.
Solo does fuck hard. It's actually my favorite Star Wars movie, which is weird to say, but that's why I'm like I would probably go more that route. But it's there's the figureheads, what are the spokespersons, the talking heads, what are they called? Pundits
Oh, okay.
of horror that I follow that are just there so I could hear things amplified that I might feel need to be. They're saying that they're expecting, because of the success of Terrifier in the low budget, in the type of movie it is, in the whatever, that we are likely going to see that non-legacy thing start to become prioritized, and we might get what we've talked about wanting, 10 $5 million movies instead of a $50 million movie. Or, do your
Whatever,
math to make
yeah.
it equal. That they might just start farting out indies. They might just be like, cool, we can do 1 million indies, because when one hits, it hits for $10 million on a $250,000 budget, or $20 million opening weekend on a $2.5 to $3.5 million budget. Let's make $7 million on 10 movies instead of trying to put $70 million on one movie. You know, even though it worked with Saw, they got $100 million return. So I'm hopeful that something like Terrifier has like already altered our path off of the Saw franchise, and that maybe Saw 11 comes out to a flop.
Or they make a good Saw movie.
Well,
They could just make a good Saw
don't
movie.
hold your breath.
I know.
Because also, Lionsgate, dude.
Lionsgate's, yeah. It's,
Lionsgate,
whew,
dude.
struggling.
They've been doing some stuff. So.
All right, we're at our 2 hours.
Ah.
But in our title, I did have Green Day, so I just wanted to go over this real quick. It's nothing big.
It's the first thing you put.
I did,
And it's the
and
most fucking.
It's going to be at the
pigeonholed
end.
epilogue.
But I think it's really fun. I didn't think you'd have a whole lot of input on it anyway, but I wanted to share.
Well, dude, imagine I watch Saw 10. I come back. I'm walking to the store, and you go, "How was it?" What do I say?
Yeah, right, yeah.
I go, what did I probably tell you? I said, "You should watch it.
You should, yeah, exactly.
You should watch this movie."
So anyway, for anyone who doesn't know, Green Day put out an album a long time ago called Dookie.
Who wouldn't know that?
It's 30 years ago is when the album came out.
Holy fuck.
Yes. So it's the 30th anniversary of Dookie. So what do?
Wow.
They put out a remaster, but not really.
Like a re-recording.
Because this is Dookie Demastered. And what they did is they took the 15 tracks from Dookie and they re-released each track in a defunct format that is not something that exists anymore.
Okay.
So the first song, Burnout, comes out on a player piano roll. So like that roll that would be played by an automatic piano.
Yeah.
That song, you can buy that song on one of those rolls.
This sounds like a really expensive album to own.
Then yes, because it's not an album. It's all each song's individual.
Yes, but it's like a
the
quote
second
unquote
one,
album, you know.
Having a Blast, comes out on floppy disk. So you can get a floppy disk, load it up, play the song. And they said that some of these don't sound as good, obviously. They're demastered, and some of them have complete, not the whole song, because the whole song can't fit on some of
Like
these.
the roll. I was thinking, that was my first thought. I was like, man,
it just doesn't work.
How big's that roll?
Number 3, Chump, comes out on a Teddy Ruxpin. So you can get a Teddy Ruxpin and just play Chump.
Oh my God. How do they do that? That's crazy. Okay.
Number 4, Longview,
Teddy,
comes
wow.
out on a voice doorbell. Like an old voice recording doorbell. Welcome to Paradise.
Interesting.
Very popular song.
Yeah.
Comes out on a Game Boy cartridge. You put a Game Boy cartridge in a Game Boy and it just plays the song with a little graphic on the screen.
Some of these are so licensed. I'm like, how did they legally do this?
Crazy, right? This one's great. The song's
Okay.
called Pulling Teeth. It plays on one of those toothbrushes that you brush your teeth and you could hear music in. So you actually brush your teeth and hear the song. Basket Case
Okay.
is coming out on a Big Mouth Billy Bass. So you put on
Sick.
the fish comes out and sings Basket Case.
Dude, that is fantastic. Holy cow.
Next song, She, is on a hit clip. Do you remember hit clips where you get a little machine and you'd have like a bunch of keychains with like square, essentially switch cartridges that you would put in and press play?
Oh
Hit
my
clips.
god, dude! I gotta see this again. That's insane, dude. Oh my god. I mean, I was never into music.
Holy fuck, the Billy Bass. Yep.
Dude. Look at the packaging, dude.
Oh yeah.
Holy shit. They're just little CDs.
And it wasn't even a whole song. You can't fit a whole song on it. It's just like the front end of a song. Sassafras Roots comes out on an 8-track tape. When I Come Around comes out on a wax cylinder where it's like the little pling, 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 pling. You know, like the wax cylinder thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Coming Clean comes out on an X-Ray record, which I don't know exactly.
I'm actually looking that up, but
Yeah.
I don't know. X-ray.
It's an X-Ray record. Oh, it's just a record that has an X-ray on it?
It looks like it.
Okay. That one's not too bad.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. Since 1987, apparently it was a thing, yeah.
I'm going to mess up the pronunciation of this song. Eminius Sleepus is coming out on an answering machine. You just play on an answering machine.
Dude, okay, hold on.
Yep.
This phrase you're saying, coming out, did they just make one?
No, you can buy them. There's prices for everything. Like, it's $40 for the Game Boy cartridge with Welcome to Paradise on it. You can buy them right now.
How many Billy Basses did they make?
I have no idea. I don't know if this Billy Bass is $80. Teddy Ruxpin $100. I don't know.
Okay, keep going.
In the End is coming out on mini disc.
Cool.
FOD is coming out on the Fisher Price record. So I believe a smaller record for a Fisher Price kind of like record player.
A lot of these are autofilling because they're like probably being all Googled right now. Okay, yeah, it's just a record player, but made by Fisher Price.
And then the last one is All By Myself coming out on a music box, which is where the kind of the wax cylinder.
That can't sound good coming through the mic.
It probably
dude.
doesn't.
That's demastering a demaster.
Yeah, it's stop. Oh my god, there we go. But that's all of them. But I just thought that was so.
Do the Billy Bass one. I just now that I can, the fact that I can hear these, I want to hear the answering machine. I want to hear all these. Maybe we'll do this off because we're already 10 minutes past. But
yeah, we'll do the Game Boy one, and then we'll do Billy Bass.
Oh, the Game Boy one. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Scroll down. All right. See, here's the Game Boy.
Wow, these videos are like officially produced too. They look really good.
Yeah. Okay.
I feel like I should be like doing a side scroller beat 'em up, like a
right?
a Double Dragon kind of thing, you know.
And then here's a big mouth Billy Bass.
Okay,
It's
it
just
is just
mostly a
the
song.
recording. I don't know why, but I
it's-
pictured the Billy voice.
Billy Bass. Yeah, so this is really cool. I thought that was really funny. Instead of coming out and being like, hey, give us a ton of money for the same album you've heard a million times where we say we did a lot of work to it, but we really didn't touch it.
Look at this. This is what artists should be doing, TBH.
And there's like, let's just do all the songs on like these crazy random things.
Dude, I kind of want the mini clip.
I kind of want the Game Boy cartridge.
The Game Boy cartridge is really cool. And
So-
because it's like such a big song.
Yeah.
That's another thing.
So I thought that was really cool. I wanted to share with everybody because that's just fun. The other little thing I had that I'm going to forget about because it just happened, but my parents were up this weekend.
Yeah.
You know what I found out? My mom has an IMDb page. If you go on to IMDb, she has a credited page. You can search her name and she's on there.
Hold. Wait, Kruscke?
Yep.
Why?
Because we made a short film called Luca.
I see that.
And that short film was in an anthology movie
Yep.
that got released, did festivals, all that stuff.
Sure.
Not a good one.
Yeah.
But
Looks
in
like-
our film Luca, she brought food, so we just in the credits put her as craft services,
awesome.
and so she has a craft services credit for our short film that is in this other film, and
Wow.
so she has IMDb credit, which is really funny.
That is fantastic.
I just found that out because I was like, I recently saw a TikTok where people were like, oh, this is a party where you dress as somebody with your name that's famous, you know, so like Britney would dress as Britney Spears, yada yada yada. I was like,
Oh, sure.
there's not many Brents, and it's If you go into Kruscke, it's even like
Yeah,
I don't have
yeah.
a name that I can do that with. So I was just searching my name to see what would come up, and I saw that my mom has an IMDb page, and I went, "This is awesome." She was very worried, and I was like, "There's no picture, there's no information on you. It's just your name because it was in the credits of a thing." And she's like, "Oh, okay, then it's fine.
Fantastic.
It's great." But I thought I'd share that with everybody. My mom hitting up IMDb.
She did it for real.
She did it. But yeah,
Wow, yeah, look at that. That's
Just-
crazy.
yep. So that was fun. So I just wanted to squeeze that in because a week from now it's not going to matter. I'm going to forget that it
Yeah,
was that
that's
funny.
fun.
So, but we're already over. So thanks so much for hanging out, everybody. Hokey, anyone else that was in chat, I saw Tron hop in. Anyone else that was lurking or I missed? Oh, Derek was here. Anything like that? Thank you so much for hanging out. Really appreciate it. I'm going to be streaming again on Thursday night. Me and Alec are going to be finished Alone in the Dark. I might start with a little bit of Pokemon just to get kind of warmed up, get going, because Alec's not available till a little bit later.
There you go.
But then we'll be doing Alone in the Dark, trying to wrap that up so then we can jump into Halo for the rest of the weekend. Stokes, do you have anything else for today?
I got nothing.
All right, then we're going to sign off as we always do and say sweet dreams, and we'll see you for breakfast.